Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast. I'm joined here with the Dukes, Gene Park. I am, of course, your host, Chris Reagan. This is Abnormal.
This is abnormal.
Before, I think I have a better handle on it. But I want to go around the horn, introduce everybody. Matty.
Hello.
How you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while, I feel like.
It has been a while. I love your shirt.
Thank you.
I feel like every time I see you, your background's a little different. I think you're in New York now, right? This is how you usually
Yeah.
You're in New York.
Yeah.
You're right near
New
me.
York duds. Yeah.
Right on. Good to be here, though. Excited to chat.
Yeah, and Cog, how you been?
Chill out, man. I feel like I've seen you a lot now. Normally, I don't get a chance to see you, but now I feel like I've seen you a lot. And then we got a chance to rock with that final shape joint was fire. So
That's right. Yeah.
It's a good group for Stelly, Gene in the building, Duke's in the building. I'm feeling it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. We got Gene. How you doing, man?
So, Chris, good to see you in a hosting seat all the way from New York City, too, right?
Well, it's upstate New York. It's I say New York City because it's simpler. You know, like I could take the train to New York City very easily, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's a sign that threw me off in the back. I was like, oh, he's in the subway, you know?
About to get my token.
Oh, man. We're in
the New York panhandlers, they're just passing on the streets now. It's crazy,
The times are tough.
Imagine if you do that, though, like, like in tourist spots, like there's a living statue or people just playing the guitars or drums in the subways. Imagine if we just all graduate podcasting in the slums.
Dude, I have long wanted to make video, like almost like do like a normal video setup where I'm like kind of like in front of a mic, in front of my computer setup, or just in front of a table. But I'm like in Washington Square Park or something, or like just like in a public place. I would love to do like a normal video where strangers could just interject and throw the whole thing off. I've long fantasized about that, but getting together a crew to do that and then to like make sure I can't just set up a camera 15 feet away from me in New York City.
Oh, you definitely can't do that.
And record. It's not exactly doable, but glad to be with all of you guys here. I like this group of people a lot. We got quite a bit of. Let me see. Like I'm trying to think of like how I want to organize. I think I want to start off with Matty's topic because I think it's like somewhat relevant to one of the reasons why even I'm in New York in the first place. So yeah, Matty, take it away.
Well, yeah, let's talk about my wedding. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I did get married this past weekend, and I just wanted to just go in on the whole day. I was talking to Cog about it on Duke, and it really was like the perfect day. And you just like life doesn't hand you many of those kinds of days where you're like, wow, that just everything went right. Everything. But it really was one of those days where I was just like, wow, like no complaints. I have one nitpick. I'll get into that, but it really God knows what it is.
Nitpick about your wedding? Like
not my wedding, no.
Is this a MrMattyPlays review of your own wedding?
Actually,
we're doing a review. We're review ready.
You know what? It does have that
sound gameplay.
Yeah. The story was great. We started off on Tinder and we met each other in person, and here we are getting married. It's a fucking great narrative, dude. It's still ongoing. Live service.
I like that.
But yeah, we had it in a state park in Kent, near the waterfalls. Layla and I used to hike there a lot, and so we just have like a lot of memories there, and just like always thought, yeah, it's so beautiful here. And then we were just originally planning a wedding that was much more large scale, more people, way more expensive. And as the reality started to set in of like, oh, well, we're going to invite, say, my uncle, and that means we have to invite my aunt and my cousins, and they have plus ones, and how weddings go, they start to just spread, and then it's like, well, then they're going to want to bring their friends, and we went from 50 to 80 people all of a sudden. And as we were looking at that, the cost was rising, the stress was rising. We're like, no, this like we're both now not looking forward to our own wedding outside of like the ceremony itself and the aftermath, and at that point, not worth it. So we decided to cut our losses, get a couple of people angry, and just hold a very small, intimate wedding in Kent Falls State Park. And my dad did he did the ceremony, which was incredible. My dad's been a minister for my whole life, so to have him do that was really incredible too. When he was doing the final lines, he broke down into tears. It was like a real emotional family moment. It was great though, man. It was beautiful just to be surrounded by Laylee's immediate family, my immediate family. Managed to sneak my uncle in there. Had to have Unc there. He's been there for everything in my life, so it was awesome to have him there. But yeah, it was beautiful. Like literally in the pictures, you can see the wind is blowing. The leaves are falling as we're about to kiss the bride. It's like, dude, just perfect, right? A lot of great photos with the photographer, and afterwards we went to a dinner, and just the whole family again. We just had like a private room, and it was just really nice and chill. And like I had this moment where my brother is a very quiet individual, and one of Laylee's brothers is I would define as a loudmouth. The other is very quiet as well. And in that moment where I had this holy shit moment, it was all of them talking and laughing and having a good time together. And I was like, wow, I never thought I'd ever see or experience this. And our parents were at like a separate table talking and laughing and enjoying themselves. And it was a lot of like, just we are all one big family now. And I was like, this is amazing. And after this, we went home and we played It Takes Two.
Right, dude.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. So we went home, played some co-op games, and that was the day, man. And it was really just like beautiful. I told you guys first, and because I was really stoked. I wanted you all to hear the news first. And yeah, it just, again, I couldn't have asked for a better day. So as part of the Matty review process, we do have to get into the one singular nitpick in case you're considering purchasing this wedding. And that is the photographer. We have a ton of amazing photos. Photographer in the terms of talent, personality, great. Price tag, always a little like on that. But then we went, I guess, a half hour over, and it was like $400 an hour. And I was like, all right. And so that extra half hour was like $300 on top of the tip we already gave them. I was like, oh, okay. So like we had already paid for the hour and the tip. And they're like, by the way, we just invoiced you for the extra 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna be like, what, 200 or something like that. So no, 275. That was 300. I was like, I was like, okay, that's taking advantage of the situation for sure. But you know what? Luckily, we threw together a very, all things considered, cheap wedding in the terms of just like normal income, not cheap, but at least compared to other weddings. That would be my only nitpick. That was the only thing I walked away from like, damn it. The ring Laylee got me is sick though. It's like a white gold ring, which I loved. Like she was asking me before, she was like, do you want like a gold ring or like, what do you want? I was like, maybe something like not super traditional. Like I kind of want to like really have something kind of sick on top of just like
I want a sick wedding.
Yeah.
ring.
Like I want a sick wedding band is what I said to her. And she was like, okay. And I think she did a great job with that too. But yeah, just the whole process was incredible. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk about it, rave about it, and just, I don't know, bask in that a little bit. I don't know if you guys have any comments or questions or experiences or things. I don't know, but that's the only thing I hesitate about making this topic. I'm like, it's a very much me thing. Like I just get to sit here and talk about myself for like 10 minutes and then that's kind of it. But
no, I think
anything else you guys want to throw in there?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I'm glad it went off without a hitch. Like, dude, sometimes I think about the prospect of a wedding, and I hear so many stories of things going so tragically wrong. Like,
yeah,
oh, none of the photos came out good at all, or none of the photos even happened. Like the photographer doesn't show. Like and people have to like use their phones. I've heard some really that's what really scares me away from the idea of doing anything big. Like your idea of like the intimate wedding, I think is like the ideal. Like I really hate like really extravagant, like huge wedding. Like the wedding I'm in town for my nephew's wedding. Like it was, and I think it was probably the same day. I don't know what your day was. I think it was like
Saturday.
Saturday? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was Saturday. It was the same day.
That's crazy.
And so I went to my nephew's wedding. It was very, very cool, but very small, very, intimate, very niche, very I saw a lot of family that I haven't seen in a long time, but it was all things considered how big my family is. It's like, oh, this is like this is like the good, the good ones, the fun ones, the ones you'd want at a wedding. And yeah, it's weird being at a wedding as like a guest, because sometimes I feel like, I remember before going, I was like, do I dress like really, because I have a pink suit that's like obnoxious.
Oh, nice.
And I have like like a blue jacket. And I'm like, do I keep it like understated? Because the idea is like you're not supposed to, steal like the attention.
Pink suit and a blue jacket. That sounds like
No,
Dumb and Dumber
these are
outfit or something like that.
These are separate suits.
That's like what Jim Carrey and like Jeff Daniels wore to that wedding in Dumb and Dumber.
No, man, it's I don't know, man. Like I think that's the way to go. I have some friends who just like sign the paper and then they just have a party. Which
We
I think
thought
is
about
also
that.
like,
We did think about that at one point. Like, we thought about doing just like a backyard wedding, but we're like, we should make some sort of moment out of this, because both Laylee and I are extremely just like, or arguably too lax about certain things. We're late to fucking, if you couldn't tell with Last Stand, I'm late to fucking everything. Like, I'm way too chill, but I think it just keeps my stress levels extremely low for the type of life I live. But yeah, like we thought about that at one point. Like, what like, do we just, I put this in quotes, elope? The other thing is like, there's the family aspect you have to consider of like, you know what, I want my parents to be there for this. Like, I have a great relationship with my parents. Like, I want them to experience this. My brother, I want him to be there for this. Same thing with Laylee and her family. I'm glad she has a great relationship with her family. I wanted them there for it too. So, it was something we talked about though, of like, do we just sign the papers? Because we have friends who have been like engaged for 9 years, and there's like, yeah, like we want to get married, but just getting married is such a pain in the ass. Like, it's just, we're just staying engaged, and if we get around to it, whatever, but like, we're good. And I'm like, that's such an interesting energy to keep, I feel. But,
yeah, I had friends like that who were just engaged for like 12 years. One of them fucking died. So,
I feel like anytime I'm on
it just didn't fucking happen.
Or no, that was Sacred Symbols Plus. That's the guy you were talking about who died last time. The one who was the Riz god. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You don't remember that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, not him. Not him.
It's not the same one. Thank God.
Not the same guy. No, this is a former coworkers.
Yeah,
former coworkers who were engaged, and then they just took forever, and they just didn't do it.
Yeah, you can't let life pass you by, right? I mean, I don't know. There was a level of like when I walked away from the event, wake up the next day, like I feel a little older now. It's like I'm not a kid anymore. I think that was the scariest yet exciting part about it. It was like I'm not, the young gun anymore, really. I mean, I am younger, but like I'm not like just this kid anymore figuring things out. It's like, yeah, this is like extremely serious. And like I had no doubts about anything I was doing, but just you kind of have that realization of like, damn, like I'm a grown up now. And
you got a family now, man.
Yeah. Oh no, not yet. No,
you're a family man now, man. You went home and became a family man. Yeah. That's crazy.
I thought you meant I'm having a kid. I was like,
oh no.
No. Not quite yet. Not ready for that. It's I've thought about it, but just like the type of with the amount of time I have to dedicate to my work. I don't know if you guys are in the same boat if you ever think about having kids, but like for me, it's the amount of time I dedicate to my work. It's like I'd be like a really bad parent at this point in my life. Like I think I have the values and the ethics to like guide a younger Matty, if you will, but it just I wouldn't be able to dedicate the time, and I feel like that's 99% of parenting. It's just time spent with the kid, and just letting them like experience things, do things, sports, games, hobbies of all kinds. So that's why like I always shy away from it, because I'm like, I live like a really busy life, dude. The idea of me just throwing a kid in the mix, holy fuck.
well, you're doing what a lot of other generations and a lot of other people don't do, and you're actually just considering.
Oh, that's
the ramifications of having a child. Or a lot of people, I feel like just like whatever.
It's expected, right? It's kind of expected. I feel of most people, just like, oh, you're gonna have a kid next, right? My mom is always like, well, like when am I gonna have grandkids? I'm like, I don't. Maybe not in your lifetime, lady. I don't know.
I guess my question for you is just kind of like the dynamics now. 'Cause obviously, I've met Laylee; she's awesome, and I'm curious. Like the event happens, right? And now it's over. Now the day after, now everything you come down from the emotional high. You're married now, but like, did you look at it as you guys look at each other like, has something changed now? We've leveled up, or is it like, you know what? We're still the same, like how we've been. Like, I'm curious about the dynamic post-wedding.
Yeah, it's I guess a little bit of both. Like you're
Mhm.
still the same team as before, right? But like I guess the level of commitment is so real that like I think I always like give up my time, my energy, and anything Laylee needs, like I'll always be there for her. But I think there's a level of like, for example, just 2 days ago, she was just feeling like a little stressed and overwhelmed about like how we were organizing the house. Like when are we like we just don't have dedicated days for like things as simple as doing the dishes or vacuuming or anything like that. And just so normally we would just kind of be like, whatever, we'll just figure it out as we go along. But like as a team now, like we sat down, we're like, okay, let's do this together. And like we made a whole schedule. And I don't know, I feel like that was in a pre-wedding world. I don't know if we would have done that. And I don't know. I think it just changes the dynamic of like being a team and like, oh, even these little things that I can help her out with, like, let's do that, you know? And
Right.
like we were already doing those things, but now it's like more of a rigid schedule. So I guess the evolution would be in minor things like that. But right now, like it feels, I don't want to say it feels the same because that sounds like it's a whatever thing, but
Mm.
it's not like our dynamic of our relationship has dramatically changed. Cause like a lot of people get really nervous before their weddings. And for Laylee and I, it really wasn't like nerve wracking per se. I mean, granted, we didn't do traditional wedding things like split the day before or the day of or anything. Like we drove to our wedding together, you know, which like when we got in the car, I was like, you ready to go to our wedding? You know, so it was,
Ready to go see the flick?
I love that. That's
I
awesome.
like that.
so yeah, like I don't know, we really love each other dearly. Like I love being with her. She's the only person who like when I'm away from, I get really sad. Like when I went out to the last stand event, I was like kind of bummed at first when I got on the plane. I was like, fuck, I was like, I miss her, you know. So
Yeah, that's what's up.
you know, I feel like that stuff doesn't, I mean, that has always been there. So I don't know if the dynamics dramatically changed, you know, just I think as you commit more, you give more. And,
Mhm.
you know, relationships are really built on trust. And, you know, we have a really good foundation of that since
Dope.
the very beginning. So we've always been willing to like give up ourselves to one another. So I don't think it's been too much of a transformation yet, but I'll keep you posted for
Keep me
sure.
posted. Keep me posted.
Keep me
No,
posted,
that was good.
God.
I just had that. And the second thing is just a funny one because in black households, when it comes to weddings and even funerals,
Mhm.
there's always a very intense discussion about the list on both sides of the family,
Mm,
who come and who can't be there.
mm,
So you don't have to name and shame,
Sure.
but I'm curious, was there a family member on either side where y'all was like, this gonna be too much with this individual? Because this is a big thing in black family. In black culture, we be like, oh no, Uncle such and such is not coming.
Mhm.
Because of this, or this
Like,
dynamic.
you don't want
or
to
this
jeopardize the day or
right, and ruin the moment. So
high
there
risk
will
place,
be
yeah.
that list. So I need to know, you don't got to name and shame.
Sure.
Was there a couple of members on either side of the family that could not be there?
Let's see here. So I guess technically by default, I felt more bad for Laylee. My family is really small. So for me, as I made that list cut, there is a level of like, you know, this isn't a small, intimate thing already just by nature of my family. So anyone who gets cut out probably isn't a big fan of me right now. I'm like, all right, you know, it is what it is. Like that's, yeah, I invited the most important people in my life is how I look at it. And I guess that's what weddings help you realize is like, who do you value the most? And for Laylee, she has way more pressure than me, bro. Her family's fucking huge. Like anything I go to, I went to one of her cousin's 9th birthday parties and fucking everyone's there. I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like her family's ridiculously big. So for her, she had the fun time of the tough decisions to make. And I tried to be as like, you know, compassionate and like, try to be flexible, right? It was like, because the thing I didn't want to create was like, let's have like 18 people from Laylee's family, like 5 for mine. And she didn't want that either. So we really set it up where she had to draw some lines that, I think for her, it was more like the guilting afterward that was tough because there were people in her family, like at that birthday party, who were like, yeah, like the wedding's right near us. I'm like, okay.
Oh man.
I'm like, okay. You know,
That's
you didn't
so
get invited,
annoying.
man. Sorry. You know, like don't fucking show up, please. You know, I hate to be mean, but it's just like I feel some people do need that firm line drawn or they don't get it. But yeah, like she had to deal with a little bit of that. But I don't have anyone on her side of the family that I strongly dislike. And I'm like, no, like they can't show up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And my family's so small and so passive that like there's no one on my side that bothers Laylee whatsoever. So that was the other benefit is like us making the list. There was no real long talks. Like it was just in that same conversation, realizing we needed to do a smaller wedding is when the list was growing And we were trying to keep it like even, just each time.
Yep.
Like she inched up a little bit, I would look at how I could inch it up. And then we just realized we're blowing this whole thing up and it's just too much. So yeah, there really wasn't a like, hell no, not that person.
Gotcha.
It was more just like drawing firm lines of who can and can't attend
I
this
almost
luxurious wedding.
On some level, I almost feel like it's easier if you have a bigger family than a smaller one to get the cuts in, because I feel like if you're part of a bigger family, there's just an intrinsic understanding that's like, oh, we're not all gonna go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of built. Like my family's hilariously big. Like it really makes no sense. And I've told like every single person, it's like, listen, some of you are not making the cut. If I have a wedding, like you're like just for cost
draft
reasons.
class.
I don't know, man. But yes, I guess the one thing that I'm curious about, because I've been a guest to many of these things, or not many of, at least a couple, and even I've felt like the secondhand stress in some of these events. And I always picture myself in a situation like this where like, oh, this is a party or a celebration centered almost primarily around me and somebody that I've introduced into everybody's lives, right? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I would always be like, through the entire wedding, I would be so concerned. It was like, is everybody having a good time? Is everybody like, is anybody bored or annoyed? Like what could be, but like, I feel like that would be my mindset. Sure. That's why it scares the shit out of me to even be a part of something like this. Was that at all part of your thought process, like during the wedding? Like, was that something that was like nagging at you, or
that's
were you
so interesting to hear? Because it makes me rethink if I was doing it wrong. Because in my head, once we set everything up, I was like, I don't think I'm a selfish person at all. I think sometimes I'm arguably like too giving of my time and my energy and understanding of the wrong people. And so to me, my mindset, and Lily's too, is like, we give a lot of ourselves. Today is the day where we're selfish and we just get to focus on us. So inherently, no, like I wasn't really worried if they're having a good time, because it was like, am I having a good time? I was like, yeah, I am. I'm loving this. This is great. And so, it was like a rare day of just complete inward focus for me and Laylee. And so I totally get where you're coming from, though, because that makes sense, especially if it's on a bigger scale, because a lot of people, it's like, measuring, what contest when it comes to these weddings, right? And like who throws the biggest wedding, the craziest wedding, who has like the best food, that sort of thing. Yeah. And I've only been to a handful of weddings myself. Like one of them almost like blew out my fucking eardrums with how loud the music was. Like, so, I've never been crazy about like loud parties, crazy parties ever. Like I was in college, not much of a partier. I like the more intimate hangouts. Laylee was like the same way. So it just kind of matched our energy really well to do something like this anyway. So I think some of that stress kind of peeled back naturally from the event when we scaled things down even more considerably so. But yeah, I get where you're coming from on kind of like worrying if people are having a good time if you're throwing something bigger. But I guess, I don't know. That would be my advice to everyone else. It's like, it's a day about you and your most loved individual in your life. Like you should be, I think, selfish, especially if you go to the length of planning a bigger wedding. It's like you put so much time and energy into it. Like enjoy it, right? You get this thing, hopefully, just once, and that's it, right? So, that's kind of why I was really hanging out at every moment. I was like, I'm really hoping I never have to do this again. So, it was special in that way.
Yeah, no, totally. I guess that makes sense. Like, I'm only assuming how I would feel, and that's it. Because I feel that way about, like, I remember feeling that way about, like, even just like birthday parties, where it's just like, I don't really want to throw a birthday party. What's so great about like now as like an adult, it's like if anybody like there is always like this kind of like, hey, it's your birthday, you want to do something? It's like, oh sure. Who else has a birthday around now? And it's usually like 5 other people. It's like, cool, let's have a joint, fuck it, let's go to a bar or something. And the focus is split. I don't like being the focus of something. I think that's like what bothers me the most about it. Like the idea of like people like looking over. It's like, how's the couple? Like, I don't know. I've always hated it. Maybe I'll feel different in that situation where I'm just like, well, look, fuck you guys. I planned a wedding. I don't give a shit how anybody feels.
Pretty much.
I feel like that's probably possible.
I've had the same issue with birthdays, except the opposite, where nobody ever wanted to do a birthday party together with me, because my birthday party would overshadow the other person's birthday party, and like my invite list would be it would be the whole room, and then the other person would have like 10 people, right? So because again, like the Trump Hotel like hosted my birthday party. Like they
That's
gave
crazy.
me a fireworks show, and Bacardi like sponsored it.
Okay, big baller.
So it's like there's no, and I'm like, does anybody want to go in with me? And everyone's like, no, this is like your day, and it's like it's also your birthday. It's your birthday's tomorrow or the day before or the same fucking day,
Right?
and
Well,
they're like, no, it's your birthday, dude.
okay,
Like,
well, here's the thing. Here's what I was considering a party. Like you go to, like a birthday party for me is like, I don't know, we go out to like a bar with like a couple people, we hang out, we get drinks, we talk, we chill.
yeah.
Or we just, hang out in an apartment. Like it's usually like friends of ours who have similar birthdays anyway. We're just chilling, we're playing games, listening to music, talking, whatever, smoking, maybe drinking a little bit. If I went to share a birthday party with somebody and then they were like, yeah, okay, let's go to the Trump Hotel. They're going to throw fireworks in the sky. They're going to have mail order brides. Like I don't know, man. I feel like I would be like, yeah, man, that's yours.
Yeah, that was where my weed dealer brought his cousin from the Czech Republic for me to date.
What are you? What the hell existence are you living?
Like he came to my birthday party to offer up his cousin to me.
That is crazy. What birthday was this?
This is my 33rd birthday. So this is like a good.
Damn!
10
All
years
right,
ago.
I still have time. I still have time to match.
Yeah, you can
The
still do it.
absurdity
You can
of
still
that.
do it. Yeah.
Still do it. I have 2 years. I'm about to be 31.
But then Kyle's question about not inviting people also made me laugh because like I think that I would have that issue in terms of like inviting friends because I have so many friends who hate each other.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Me too.
So like if I invite Colin to my wedding, think about all the people who I wouldn't be able to invite in the games industry, for example, right? And I will invite Colin.
Of course.
Colin invited me to his wedding, so like that's gonna have to be a choice. It's kind of why I don't have like a Discord server because my community or my own fans would tear each other apart because they're I have fans on all kinds of different sides of the political spectrum. So.
I mean, dude, to be honest, that sounds fucking mega enticing. Like, I would love to go to a party like that where, like, there's people very clearly at each other's throats. Oh, my God. I love that. As long as I'm not one of them, it's like, dude.
Yeah, that's the issue. Like they're at each other's throats because I gathered them there.
Mm-hmm.
You get to go to a fight club for your own birthday party. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, watch Colin just throw down with all the game journos who just shit talk him.
That could be funny, yeah. That could be funny,
Dude, I think
imagine that,
Remember when you said Concord cost $400 million?
There's value there, man. There's value there. Honestly, I think because I went to, I think it was a birthday party in the last like year, or at least like the last 16 months or something. It was like a YouTube. It was like an LA thing. I think it was like around Halloween. So there was like a bunch of YouTube people, or a lot of journalist people. And there was somebody there who I knew hated me, and it was awesome. I loved it. It was like, it gave me so much energy. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Cause I feel perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm chilling, but I know someone is seething. I could see them seething. And it just gave me so much. I was smiling so hard, but I don't know. I feed off of energy that way. So maybe I'm not exactly the best person to.
Yeah. I don't get people who hold on to that energy. Like, I don't really feel there's people I definitely don't like, but like they hate someone so much that it's gonna like siphon away from my day. Or like, for example, if like I didn't like someone and Gene's like, Matt, come to my wedding, I'd be like, I'm going to Gene's wedding, right? Like, I'm not gonna not show up because like say I didn't like Colin. Like, Colin's gonna be there. I'm sorry, Gene. Sorry, bro. Like, I can't get behind that energy. I don't get it. It's like you're hurting yourself more than anyone, I feel.
Yeah. It's like you hate this person so much that you're willing to let them ruin your entire fucking vibe for like a couple days straight. Like, I don't know. I've definitely like disliked people for a long time on YouTube. But like, honestly, I can't even list them right now because I'm not thinking about them. If they show up or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't really, but whatever. And then I think about like, I don't know, what was that, 3 years ago? I don't care.
Yeah, same thing.
You have to do something pretty wild for me to hold on. Like, you have to have come to my house and like flayed my dog open for me to be like, oh, I'm not gonna hang out with that person. What do you? I'm not gonna be in the same presence as this person. Are you kidding? Such a wild energy to hold on to, but
Yeah, but like coming to my wedding, which Colin is attending, would be endorsing his views or some shit,
Yeah,
So
God forbid people have different views in there.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Me and Matty just had that conversation at Duke at the end. Like, someone wrote in, it's just like, man, we're in this weird era where you cannot have a different opinion without that person hating you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just completely. It's a weird time. But to your
Nuance in
point,
the era of the internet is dead.
yeah,
Unfortunately, when it
nuance,
comes to
nuance.
in-person, face-to-face reactions, like, yeah, I think there's plenty of nuance to be found, but online, it's very seldom found. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's where nuance goes to die, I think.
Yeah.
And that's what's like
specifically
that's what's
social
nice.
media.
Oh yeah, Twitter's fucked.
Yeah.
Like there's like Twitter specifically is like It's funny. I saw this post going around where it was like a Reddit discussion about Dragon Age or like something. It was a Reddit discussion about like a recent game that was like ensnared in like the the toxic bullshit on Twitter, and it was just a normal ass conversation. And people were just talking about, it's like, oh my god, Reddit's become the promised land. And
that was about Ghost of Yote.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was on the Tsushima subreddit. Everyone's like hyped there, like, oh my god, think about the possibilities. Wow, cool. Like,
yeah, they were like, oh wow,
what kind of weapons is she gonna have? Like a normal fucking conversation about video games, right?
It's how I remember conversations about video games being. So it's like it's it's a shame, man. It's a shame.
Yeah, I've always, because I'm famous for starting like how brands use Reddit. Because I was one of the first brands as a Washington Post to use Reddit as a social media platform. Because I always believed in Reddit, and I always knew that Reddit was going to be if you tunnel down to specific communities, and it's a really good community,
At least there's conversations. That's the thing. I think people think a lot of creators or individuals on the are just looking for like agreement or something like that. Or just like toxic positivity. It's like, no, I just want like people to like, even if you're critical, just like talk, like that's all we want to see is conversation and
discussion. Yeah, let's talk back and forth, even if it's about woke crap or whatever like that. Let's have a conversation about it then, if you want.
100%.
Stop yelling about it.
100%.
Well,
anyways,
my wedding was great, guys.
Well, it's probably why like you kept so much of it like pretty secret, right? I mean, you seem to be a fairly private individual in the first place.
It's just, I try to just keep it separate, not like out of keeping anyone away or anything like that. It's more like, I don't know. I don't like to live chronically online. I see a lot of people who share like their biggest life moments every step of the way on social media. And I will be the first to say during my teens, I used to do that. I had my phone out, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, everything. But then I just realized I was like, you realize I call it like the automatic, like you would open it and just go to Twitter right away. You're like, that's when I deleted the app. And I just started to live more in the moment. And so I don't try to be deliberately private. Like I believe in like openness and transparency. So I don't want to give that air of like complete secrecy and privacy to my online personality, if you will. But yeah, in like situations like that, like I feel like are my intentions pure if I'm just like announcing on all my videos, like I'm getting married, guys. Like it's like I'm very excited, but I don't want it to come across like I feel like lots of online stuff is transactional, and I don't want it to come across like, hey, I'm doing something big in my life, so like support me in some way or be nicer to me this video or something like that. So that's why I try to keep my personal life stuff out. Like I'll be going through, like I had like chronic health conditions for 2 years and people were happily lighting me up in the comments. Maybe they would have felt different if they knew that, but I don't want to de-incentivize them to speak their mind, So I guess that's my mindset is like, I don't want to always overshare just because I want people to be able to say what they want to say. And that's where I go back to like, maybe I'm a little too understanding at times, but that's my mindset. That's why I didn't really talk about it much, but I also like to surprise people sometimes. It's like, hey, got married, by the way.
Yeah, that was a surprise. That was cool.
It's cool, man. Well,
thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, man.
I'm glad it went well.
Thank you guys. Thank you for I appreciate it.
Are you satisfied? How are you feeling?
Yeah, 100%.
Have you guys been engaged, Cog and Chris? Have you guys ever been that?
No.
I've actually been engaged once. It was the whole reason why I moved to Hawaii in the first place, because she lived there, and then we broke up a year later, or a year and a half later. But
But you never got married.
We never got married. It might have been one of those 9-year engagement kind of things, we got a ring, but that's about it. There was no real plans, and it all got fucked up. But and then there was one other time before that when I was like, how old was I? 22, 23. when I thought about getting into an arranged paid wedding to illegally help someone get a green card into the United
the
States.
hustle game.
Oh,
I know about this.
Yeah, yeah. It was a Korean woman, older than me, much older, but she had a great rack though. Man. So, she was a good friend of mine, and then she thought like, hey, I would like to stay to the United States. You want to get married? And I was like, shit, sure, why not, right?
He was mesmerized.
We went to, yeah, I was mesmerized. I wasn't even thinking straight. I was just like, oh my god, your titties.
Something else was thinking for you.
You're like
I was a complete idiot. We had a marriage attorney and everything.
Wow.
And then like we literally went up to we were about to sign the paper and I fucking chickened out at the last minute.
There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna get $75,000 from her.
Oh wow.
Which is a lot of money for a 22, 23-year-old, right?
Yeah,
Just starting out. I was only making $22,000 a year back then. So I was like,
dude.
yo, 3 years salary? That's crazy, you know? just to marry a hottie? Okay, you know, but I just couldn't go with it. But he ended up marrying a Navy dude, and they ended up having a kid together, and I think they're still together. So
Awesome. There we go.
Yeah.
I was not going to do that. I was not going to have like a serious like. So the reason why I backed out was because I'm a Christian, so like part of it is like, do I really want my first like wife to be like a fake one? You know, like,
A fake wife.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. You know, so
Dude, because I remember trying it because I have a friend in the UK. And I remember I was like, dude, let's just get gay married and get you over here. Like, whatever. Like, it's just like, and then that was like a joke more than, but it was like kind of serious. Like, dude, come over here. Let's get you some shit done. This is a dude I was working on games with. So it just would have been a lot easier to work in the same
imagine
place.
having to fucking gay marry your business partner just to fucking get him over here.
I know.
Let's get the game done, man.
I was like 22 though when we were talking about this.
Right?
This was never like super serious, but the thought was funny because it was more serious than you would imagine it was. It was like 60% like yeah. Like what?
Yeah, you look it up and you're like, oh, is this worth it? I don't know. That's what I did. I looked it up and I almost went through with it. And fortunately for her, she understood that I was pretty skeptical the whole way.
Okay, that's what I was about to ask you. Like, did the flip out go out? Like,
she was not pissed off. Like, we kept hanging out afterwards. You know, it was good. It was fine.
Cool.
You know,
Okay.
she got to keep $75,000. So like, what was the big deal?
Yeah,
you know,
true.
And she wasn't like in danger of deportation or anything like that. She just really wanted to secure her future, and she figured that I might be stable. So you know,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've never been engaged. I think my issue is that I've been in relationships where I was like so sure almost every time. So now I'm like really skeptical of my own like view of this. So I'm like, I don't know, but I'm probably like a little bit too like self, you know, like I don't know, is this you know, but you know, figuring it out. Yeah. But I'm not opposed to it. I would love to get the fuck out of here. You know, like getting out of this space. This Tinder, not that I really go on Tinder really at all. I don't think I've ever actually used it.
Worse
online is tough.
Yeah,
online is brutal, bro.
I don't. That's where I met Lately. Lately.
Oh, really? Tinder?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah. But it was bad then, and I've heard it's only gotten worse.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use apps. I try to meet people organically, which is
I tried that, but my Riz is non-existent. So,
dude,
like, I need an online date.
I can't do it. I can't put 5'4" on a dating profile and it works. You know what I mean?
True. I have to be in some of the heavy lifting.
No, I gotta be in person. You know, otherwise it ain't happening.
See, I'm Asian, so I always have to specify that I'm 6 feet tall.
Right.
So people know, like, hey, you know, I'm a pretty tall Asian. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Because they always because they were fucking asking before I put that shit in. They were asking me how tall I was. I was like, I'm 6 feet. Don't worry about it. You know?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. That sounds like such a
listen.
lie. That sounds like I'm 6 feet. 6 feet. Don't worry about it. It sounds like a complete lie.
It does sound like a lie.
Bro, I always buried the whole gamer side of myself. I was like, yeah, I play sports because at the time I was playing a shit ton of hockey. I was like, I look like a complete fucking athlete on Tinder. I am.
See, me too, man. Like, so I've never actually dated a gamer girl before, ever. Yeah. I've never dated anybody who really got. So my ex fiance was the closest thing because she like played like Wii and Xbox 360 with me, and she super got into WoW afterwards after we broke up actually. But besides her, I've never really had like a solid gamer girlfriend before because it's tough out there, you know.
It's brutal. That's why I know I'm single. I've learned to not hide it because what happens with my situation is like, oh, so this is gonna stop, right? This is like a thing that you do, but you're gonna stop that, right? Because eventually. And I'm like, no, this is what I love. This is my passion. Like gaming saved my life from the South Bronx and my friends. And like, so it's always this constant, I'm going to change you or you'll eventually give them. You'll grow out of that.
And that's just like,
like I've even had situations where I've had an ultimatum, like, you're going to keep doing this podcasting thing like this always every Sunday. Like that's how. Yes. Right. So now it's like,
here's the thing.
So now my new thing is I just blast it out. I over gamify because I want you to know I love this. This is never going away. And you're not changing this aspect. That would be like me trying to change something that's the most passionate about you. Even if I don't love it, I know that you love it. So I want to support or at least respect it. And that's what I feel in my situation. It's always someone at the end of the day, they try to change me. And I'm just like, no, this ain't going to work.
And here's red flag number 2, right? Is when they get that understanding, you have to understand why they understand. And I had a lot of experiences where they see the check clear and they're like, oh, you make money off. You want to go out to dinner? I'm like,
purposely.
I'm
glad you said that, Matty. I purposely don't disclose that part. And it's funny because then you see the fake stuff. Oh, it's that.
Anytime that shit came up, I was always very, that you want to talk about secretive. I was always trying to be secretive about that because it's like, how into me are you before you know about any of that? Of course, it's very difficult to hide. In my case, I'm like very much like, oh, what's your Instagram? It's like, MrMattyPlays _official.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
good call.
Who's that? You know, it's like, the explanation comes sooner than I would have liked
Hundreds
it to.
of thousands of subscribers. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like,
MrMattyPlays.
Wow,
it's Chris Raygun. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's always tough because, that
you guys have to go through that. You two, all of you, like at some level, because you guys are really big, social media presence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you guys specifically, like Chris, like I'm assuming you've had to experience that on some level. Oh, he ain't sharing that part. He like, you ain't learning.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay, we're gonna leave it alone.
I've experienced it even like at a small like local level because like I'd be like the local news reporter in Hawaii or Guam, right?
Oh yeah.
But then but I'm like the most famous reporter like on Guam or Hawaii. So they're like, oh my God, I'm dating Gene Park. He's in the news.
Says every woman ever.
Dude,
but and that helps really with the Washington Post, especially around Washington D.C. Like
DC, you lit. DC, you lit.
There are a lot of women who will like immediately swipe right on me because they're like, oh, I get to date a Washington Post reporter. I wonder what that's like.
Yeah.
And then so I always have to represent. So I always have to make sure that I make sure to pick nice restaurants and everything like that. And it sucks because like I'm telling you guys, it's hard out there. I think some women are really, really leaning hard into like trad wife route. Because I said this before, but I've dated 2 women this year who thought that I was not making enough money.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I make 6 figures, and they're like, "You're too broke."
Hey, holy shit, bro!
You're too broke.
Sorry, I mean to laugh. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and then one of them says that when she found out that I live in an apartment, she was like, "Well, how can I be a housewife without a house?"
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Oh, nice.
Hey,
dude, that's a blessing. You gotta look at it that way. I know you do. You get a head on your shoulders. But
so Matty, you're married right now. Fucking keep that shit.
Oh, of course.
Fucking do not let go.
Yeah, it's a blessing, brother. It's
done.
difficult.
You won, bro.
Yeah.
It's over.
Dude,
I appreciate it. It's true.
I remember there was one. The only date I ever got on an app. I remember specifically, and I never really used apps seriously. I use it. I would use it for like memes. I think I had like one where. Like I was like wrapped up in like a blanket. It was like my primary photo. I was wrapped up in a blanket. It was just my face. And the caption was, "I need somebody to help me to retake the moon." Destiny, please help. And it was like not. It was just for the screenshot. But I remember it was sometime before or after that. Like I'd gotten on a date with this person who pretended to not know who I was.
Hey, yo.
It was like just like a normal conversation. And then in the middle of like dinner, she was like, "Oh, I have to say, like, I'm a fan." And I was like,
That's tough, man.
"This is not all right."
That's such a turnoff. She
Yeah,
did not play that well.
It was the worst thing you could have possibly said. I was just like, I would prefer you know nothing about me, at all.
Let me flip it on you. So you can't date fan?
No, I can't. No.
I want to know the logic. I'm nosy. I'm sorry.
I guess it's not necessarily that it can't be okay. I think there's a degree of like, oh, I know what your stuff is, and like whatever. I appreciate it or I don't care that much about it. It's like, okay, well, I know who you are, or we're in the same kind of space. Mm-hmm. That's different. I think like if you meet somebody else who's like in the space. That's kind of like whatever. It almost like kind of nullifies it because we both do the same thing. We're both obviously aware of each other in some way. That was my relationship with Lacey like years ago. Was that like we both were aware of each other, but like it wasn't weird to know that. But if it's like, hey, I'm a big fan, and I see you like, oh, you've commented on most things, and you follow me on everything. Even the things that I was like, how do you even know about that? Like that's kind of the
too much.
That I think is the line. Like it can't be you can't be too familiar with me. It's the over familiarity for me where it's like now I'm like let's say this continues. I'm playing catch up for fucking ever. Yeah, because you've seen me at like 20. And I just met you. And it's just like, there's something, I don't know, there's something weird about it.
They know you so well. And like, even the little things about you and you know nothing about that.
Things that I forgot. Like she quoted me to me, which is like the biggest. Oh man. No. Like it was.
That's rough. Oof.
It was really rough, dude. It was rough. And it was hard too, because it was just like, damn, you're really pretty. That's what was fuck, dude. Fuck. All right, but yeah, it's a crazy world out there.
It is
crazy.
Yeah, I dated a fan last year, and it's tough because like she has expectations of me,
Yeah,
and she has like this whole. I've had that issue where people will build up this like image of me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I've literally had that before, where a girl will tell me in the middle of while we're having sex, they will tell me. I'm really in love with the idea of Gene Park. I'm like, why the fuck are you saying this like right now? Like, you just tell me you're hungry or something. Like that would be a lot better,
What the fuck? All right, well,
okay. That's one way to end the activity early.
Yeah, and I was like, what do you think about this idea? Huh? What do you think about this idea?
I'll take G's and Christmas some scraps. Fans, y'all can holler. Open for business here.
Oh man!
No, this is why Chris and I are all single.
Yep, that's what
I think. Look, and to be fair, like I do think it's a degree thing more than anything. It's like there's degree of fandom that I think is
true. That's what obsessive, and then to that point, it's like it's like Gene said, then it becomes they love the idea of you, and to your point, Chris, where you don't really know about them. That's a tougher dynamic. So I get what you get.
That's weird. That feels weird to have to catch up to somebody, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I know that you like this, or I know that you like this food, and I know this about your fucking family." Like what the fuck,
And then it feels like, and then it's hard to know if people are like authentic, like because I've met people who's like it's the like anybody that I've met who's a fan is also somehow like really, really similar to me. You know what I mean? Like they somehow like think a lot of the same things that I do. They have the same affinities for the same things. And I'm like, do you, or do you just understand? You know me well, because you followed me. So it's like, do you just understand that I would respond positively to this? It's just like a whole. I would just rather not have to. I'd rather just not have to calculate it. You know, I'd rather just like I'd rather tell you, but like, like I'm a big Halo guy, and you go, Halo looks gay. I would rather that.
What about Halo? How about that?
Halo. Yeah, I would. That's ideal.
Yeah, I
for me.
always remember in like high school, I told one of my best friend's sister, I was like, yeah, like I want to date a gamer girl. And she was like, so you want to date yourself? And it was like the most fucking like holy shit moment I had. I was like, damn, no, I don't. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I would rather introduce someone to gaming. Laylee did game
Right.
a little bit before me, but I like really kind of helped her make the whole plunge and like got her a Switch, got her an Xbox, that sort of thing. I was like, that was way better than, you know, like what my high school Matty originally wanted. Because when I heard her say that to me, I was like, damn, fuck no, I don't want that.
That's rough to hear. Yeah, I've had that heard back to me before. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think I heard the exact same thing, and I think that's why I got turned off from like seeking gamer girls. You know, which I wish I did, because you know they're all married now. they're all spoken for. You know,
it is a lot more rewarding. It is a lot more rewarding though to introduce. Like I'm on pretty good terms with I think pretty much all except one of my exes, and like I think I've introduced all of them to like, you know, some and they'll like message me something that's like, oh, this I'll send them like,
Team
okay,
SWAT and fucking the next Halo game or something like that.
No fire team with chicks. That's
You're like, oh man, the TTK is crazy in this one though, you know.
The TTK. Dude, if I was dating somebody, they dropped the term TTK, I don't know how I'd feel about that. But
I would actually get turned on by that for sure. I've never heard a girl say that before.
No, it's
not in real life, anyways.
It's usually stuff that I feel like would work for. Like I definitely was like, oh, you seem like you would like that. You seem like you would like Ghost of Tsushima. And then like I introduced one of my exes to Ghost of Tsushima. She played like 100 hours of it. I was like, yeah, I knew you would like that. And so I sent her the Ghost of Yote thing too. Because I was like, you'll like that. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's tricky. Anyway.
I introduced one girl to Death Stranding, and she's one of those California like hippy dippy like that does all those treatments or whatever like that. Very very California Gwyneth Paltrow and type like goo type shit. And then I showed her Death Stranding, and she was like, "This is the most profound piece of art I've ever seen."
That's awesome.
And I just kept playing Death Stranding, and she was just captivated. She was like, "This is like holy right here." I was like, "Oh my god, dude, Kojima, thank you, bro."
Yeah, you shout. They're like, "Yo, you hilarious. That's funny."
Anyway, let's see. Where do we want to go from? I love how windy this show gets. Let's see. Since we're on the discussion, like on a tangential discussion of gamer and gaming stuff, let's go with Gene Park. He wanted to talk about Ubisoft, but I feel like we could probably stretch this out to different things if we wanted to. So like, yeah, take it away, Gene.
Yeah, I only chose the topic Ubisoft because the capacity for being funny is very wide, as you said. It could encompass many things, but also, you know, there's just a lot of Ubisoft news this week, you know, and I think we all have played their games, and I just feel like, well, wanted to get some stuff off our chest. But most recently, Star Wars, Yves Guillemot, an internal memo to the company said, first, Star Wars Outlaws initial sales proved softer than expected, despite solid ratings from players that recognize the game's faithful transcription of the original trilogies in essence and richness. Oh my god, this corpo speak is crazy. But they delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to Valentine's Day 2025. Very crazy. I was actually going to be on the previews for Assassin's Creed Shadows, so I actually knew that something was wrong for a while, because like literally like fucking like 2 days before the fucking preview, they're like, oh well, we're gonna cancel it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, right there, I knew too. I was like, it's just getting delayed, 100%.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, they're gonna delay fucking like the one big game for the fall. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and then now it seems like they're positioning Star Wars Outlaw as their big fall game. Like it's like they're trying to like relaunch Star Wars Outlaws for Black Friday specifically. Black Friday is mentioned in this memo. And then just today, the Star Wars Outlaws tweeted out a story pack that's going to come out, I guess, in the fall, starring Lando Calrissian.
Yay!
You know, the member berries. Remember that? Remember Lando? He's young now again. You know, this is what we can do in video games. The digital actor is here all day. But yeah, I just think, you know, I've never really actually looked into the history of Ubisoft, so I actually bothered to look up their Wikipedia. And It's actually pretty enlightening. By the 1980s, origins and first decade in the Wikipedia. By the 1980s, the Guillemot family had established itself as a support business for farmers in the Brittany province of France and other regions, including the UK. 5 sons of the family helped with the company's sales, distribution, accounting, and management with their parents before university. All 5 gained business experience while at university, and they brought back to the family business after graduating. The brothers came out with the idea of diversification to sell other products of use to farmers. Claude began selling CD audio media. Later, the brothers expanded to computers and additional software that included video games. And then they saw that the cost of buying computers from software from a French supplier were more expensive than buying the same materials in the UK and then shipping to France. And they came upon the idea of a mail order business around computer software. And then they realized, when did they get into video games? Okay, by 1986, the company was earning about 40 million French francs. And then they recognized that the video game software business was becoming a lucrative property and decided they needed to get into the industry's development side.
French money is called francs.
Yeah.
Such an unserious country. That's crazy.
And then that's when they had Michael Ansel. Am I pronouncing that right?
I think it's Michel
Ansel, right?
Yeah.
The creator of Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil, and King Kong, Peter Jackson King Kong. I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
And he was one of their first employees, and that I did not know that he was like a first like employee 1 or employee day 0. That's crazy.
That's how you get that long leash, man. That's how you get the long leash to be like, yeah, Beyond Good and Evil's coming.
Yeah. Also, the Wikipedia describes Beyond Good and Evil as their first flop. So maybe that's why like the company has been so scared, because like these video game companies seem to get traumatized by failure. Sony fails at the PSP. They're like, oh my god, we're just never going to do another handheld again.
Yeah. No. They've only. I feel like they've only recently kind of gotten out of that headspace. With even just like that price point for the PS5 Pro. I remember they avoided that price point like the plague for a long time because of the bad mojo from the PS3.
Yeah.
And then and now it's just like, yeah, fucking whatever, go buy it.
Yeah, they're feeling themselves,
Yeah, I'm feeling myself.
Yeah. And then I don't know. So I just want to talk a little bit about Ubisoft. Such an interesting history, though. I was always wondering how they got the Prince of Persia license, and so they bought the Learning Company, which had all the Broderbund, Mattel, Mindscape, and Strategic Simulations IP, that came with Prince of Persia, and so that's why they were able to cook Prince of Persia in 2003.
Enough to remember Broderbund, yeah.
And that evolved into Assassin's Creed. So like that's it. Yeah, it's a really they've got a weird history. They're like a really interesting company. I had no idea that they had anything to do with farmer shit. That's crazy. That's
crazy. I did not. What the fuck were they doing? Selling fucking Rainbow Six to farmers? Like
yeah. Here's Rayman. Can't you relate to him, farmer?
I know what we could do. These farmers need some new IP.
Yeah, amputees need representation.
Yeah.
So here's Rayman. I think.
It does make me think, like, oh man, this is really the Guillemot family, the family's business. Like, no wonder why when that investor came out and says we need to get Eves out, and it's like he's not leaving, man. He's going to leave this to his kids once he dies.
It's a dynasty, basically.
He's going to make this an empire, a French empire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, what is everybody's history with Ubisoft games? Because like I only really started taking notice of them like distinctly. Like I know I've played like Rayman in the past and stuff, but that was way before I was paying attention to who the hell was making what. Like the splash screens in the beginning of the game were blurry to me until the game started. Like I could give a fuck, what Dimps was doing. I don't know, but I feel like I really only started taking notice around Assassin's Creed 1. Like that was kind of like where I remember being like, oh, Ubisoft, that's a big player here.
That's a great question. And I was also thinking that exactly the same because I played the shit out of Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six in college, right? But I always recognized that as Red Storm Entertainment, and I never really, I just kind of glazed over Ubisoft, right? I really, really didn't start paying attention to Ubisoft until they made Splinter Cell. And I was like, yo, because Splinter Cell was an Xbox exclusive, and so that really gave it like that fire and that uniqueness. And I was like, okay, this company called Ubisoft is making Xbox games, and Splinter Cell looks like way cooler than Metal Gear, kind of,
Mhm.
And it wasn't, but
Hey, easy,
it's still
easy.
awesome, right? It was cool in a different way, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely Splinter Cell after that, and then Prince of Persia. So I was like, oh my god, from the makers of fucking Splinter Cell, they made Prince of Persia. That's crazy. And then Beyond Good and Evil came out, and like I was definitely the part of the cult of Beyond Good and Evil. And then yeah, when they established the swirl logo in 2003, and that was 2003 was around the time when I started to become aware of video game companies, because it was really
Yeah.
Kojima that started to get me into like, Konami and developers and everything like that, because Nintendo never gave a shit about developers. Nintendo's only doing that like now, like 2 years ago, but it wasn't until like Kojima started doing that, and then Ubisoft kind of really started to pump out games that I was interested in. Like Assassin's Creed came out in 2007, and I was like, oh my god, I knew that Assassin's Creed like was born out of Prince of Persia, like Cog said, or like you said, Chris. So really interesting evolution, and I've really been enjoying watching the evolution of Ubisoft over the years. I'm not sure what they want to be right now. Right now, they do feel kind of stuck. Star Wars Outlaws, I did like Star Wars Outlaws, but and Matty famously didn't, but I think Matty, you and I can agree that there was nothing like unique or new about Star Wars Outlaws that really moved anything forward. It was a whole shit ton of old ideas, some executed good, some executed poorly.
If they executed all the ideas that were, I mean, this is going to sound very trivial at first, but like if they executed a lot of their ideas in there better, that game would have been awesome. Like stealth in particular, and the design decisions that went into that, like that alone would have improved my thoughts on the game. Because I quite liked Kay. Like she was a big center of the controversy and the drama for the game, but like I played it, I was like, good character, pretty decent story. Like that was the least of my complaints. Yeah, it really did come down to the mechanics and how they were like baked into the experience and how old it felt. Very old.
And part of this discussion is because, I watched that video that you recommended in your Assassin's Creed Shadows video, Matty, about legendary drops.
Yeah, about the
he had a whole bunch of developers reach out to him after he had a whole ranty rise and fall of Ubisoft video. And what he said was pretty interesting. I said ranty earlier. That new video is a little bit ranty, and he really kind of hones in on DEI stuff like that. But he also talks about a culture of toxic positivity, which sounds familiar to all of us here in the LSM family. It sounds like there's a lot of that. And Ubisoft was famous for also being, alongside Blizzard and Riot, being one of the companies that's racked with sexual harassment. And Eves famously said, as long as the managers are exceeding their productivity over their toxicity, that's cool with me. I'm like, I can't believe he fucking said that. That's crazy.
That's a wild quote. I love that.
How recent was that?
That is outrageous.
I can't believe he said that, but that's crazy.
How old was that quote? Out of curiosity.
Oh, it's right here. Not in the Ubisoft. What? It's in Eve's Wikipedia, where he says he tolerated for years, quote, as long as these managers' results exceeds their toxicity level. Fucking crazy, dude.
When is that though? Like, do we have the like a date or like a time?
Let me see.
It was like 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You're a gamer in 2020.
Wow, it's so recent.
Super recent.
It's so much more recent than I thought. I thought that was gonna be like what, 2005?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, the baby games industry, like fuck it, just work hard and make my games. It's like, oh no, we were like adult games industry 2020, and he's like, yeah, as long as you guys are just making us money, like do whatever the fuck you want. That's crazy.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like I've been paying attention to Ubisoft for, I guess since Assassin's Creed. I loved Splinter Cell, but I wasn't really thinking about game developers at that time. By the way, really great that I've been waiting for Splinter Cell for so fucking long, and we got a Netflix show, and no game. It's really great. Love it.
Awesome.
Really
awesome.
I feel wonderful.
Is it an anime too?
Yeah, whatever.
It's anime too. Yeah, it's like, what are we doing, man?
I mean, personal hell right there.
I don't even look, man. I don't mind. Just give me a game, also. You know what I mean? Like, what are you fucking? This is a game. This is a game. What are you doing to me?
I don't know. This is what Castlevania fans go through. We have banger Castlevania anime on Netflix, and we had zero games.
Yeah, but Konami is ostensibly dead. Like they're kind of coming back, but like they've been basically dead for like they basically was like, we'll see ya, we're peacing out. So like there was no real expectation that
that's true. At least they were honest about. At least Konami was honest about it. They're like, oh fuck it, we're just gonna do pachinko or whatever, and we don't have any game developers here anymore. Fuck it.
We're gonna do pachinko, and then Ubisoft is like, oh, Splinter Cell's coming. Oh boy, don't worry, we got a VR game in the works. Just kidding. That's gone, and it's like, okay, well, I didn't want a VR game necessarily, but of the things that I can imagine that Ubisoft owns transitioning into VR, Splinter Cell is like a pretty fucking obvious one. Like I feel like there's like the logo is literally goggles.
Yes.
Like I feel like it'd be perfect in some way, but like, all right, I guess you didn't see any promise in that. And then there's that remake of the original Splinter Cell that's, I guess, maybe still happening. I have no fucking idea, but I don't know. I'm done holding my breath. When me and Colin started the show, like in 2018, when we started Sacred Symbols, I remember talking about like, man, I really miss Splinter Cell. I want another one. It's like, and Colin was like, well, they seem to be talking about it enough. It's like they wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't going to happen.
Colin was wrong.
That's Colin was wrong so far. Maybe one day he'll be right, but I don't know.
This is a good
Maybe
one.
they're making an open world Splinter Cell game and it's just taking fucking years.
Yay!
You know?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. If that was to happen,
They have a lot of games like that.
I would take it. I would take it totally.
Nothing. I mean, definitely. I mean, yeah. For me, it's a lot. I have a lot of history with them. I didn't realize it because OG Xbox. You know, I remember when I was part of the alpha group testing, and I was like,
no shit.
Yeah, bro. I was literally part that helped that thing get off the ground. And
oh wow,
Matty, you didn't know that? Wow,
I did.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that explains like
Cog's got that history.
Yeah, bro. Like people think that you just a fan, but I'm like, bro.
Yeah, no, you're not just a fan. Like, like you helped build that shit. That's
I helped build it. It launched on my birthday. How could I not like what's going on? And New York City, and The Rock was there in New York City to debut the system with Bill Gates.
That's right.
I'm like, I should at least find out what Microsoft is doing.
That was huge. That was a huge cultural moment for a lot of people when Microsoft came on the scene. Yeah,
bro. My best friend is in the video on the Power On, where Bill Gates and them hand the console.
Oh, that's your boy?
Yeah, but not the first guy. Not the first guy. He was on the line when they did that.
That's crazy.
Bro, I have it was meant to be for me to at least find. I remember laughing. Like, what is Microsoft doing?
Xbox wouldn't be nothing without COG.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let y'all know I built this.
Only him.
No, it was just me. So I remember they coming out with this thing, and I remember seeing like the obviously they had the broadband in the box, right? Which is a huge deal. Hard drive in the box, OG Xbox. I'm like, wow, this is cool. As a techie, actually I wasn't a techie at the time, but I was just like, wow, that's so revolutionary. Everybody was using dial-up. So I signed up. I became part of the Xbox Live alpha testing group. So they sent you the cheap headset, the thing that plugs into the top of the controller.
I still got it. Still got
it, right? I love people that still have the original logos for Xbox Live with the gold thing. It's so much.
Yeah, dude. Dude, the boxes for that shit is sick. There's aura about those, like the original Xbox Live headsets and like the Xbox Live branding. It's just like there's something about it that's got like.
Bro, that black.
Yeah, the original Xbox branding was really good, you know, and then they nailed it with the black and green motif, like straight out the gate. You know, PlayStation took a while for them to settle on their blue and white or black or whatever, you know.
Yeah. So how it tied to Ubisoft is that basically one of the initial games as part of the alpha group was this racing game called MotoGP. And they had Ghost Recon. I believe it was like the original, like either Island Thunder, one of the first Ghost Recon games. And that was the first time I played a game and I heard someone voice on the opposite side. And he was like Australia, wherever he was. And I'm like, yo, this is the future. Oh my God, this is crazy. And like it became I'm like, yo, give me your friend tag. Like, because that's when gamer tags just came out. And I was like, you started to associate people with games. I'm like, all right, these are my MotoGP friends. These are my Ghost Recon friends. And since then, they kept on innovating. And then for me, the association then became, okay, anything that said Tom Clancy presents.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You're like, whoa, what's this? Tom Clancy? And then you see that little, I was like Gene in the sense that I wasn't really aware of video game companies like that, but you started to get names with the logos and the associations and the branding. So that's what Rainbow Six, and I was a big Rainbow Six Vegas guy, and obviously Ghost Recon continued. But to Chris's point, Splinter Cell. And I'm like, yo, and I'm going to throw some slander on you, Gene, you're going to be mad. I remember like this is the type of spy espionage I want. This is true stealth, light and dark. None of this lolly lalo garbage.
Yeah, no,
This is the
I felt
truth.
that too. I felt that too. I felt it too. I felt it too because this was right after MGS2, right?
Yes.
And like I was saying, I obviously sing MGS2 to its heights, but like I was fucking confused as hell too. I really wanted like an authentic military, like a really
Military spy.
gritty military style thing, and I lived with army dudes. So
Yeah.
we all felt kind of burned by how MGS2 like decided to like go away with like the greedy realness of it, right? So when Splinter Cell came out, I'm like, oh, this is the shit right here. This is crazy. No, I feel you on it. And I
That's
love
why
it.
I was in that pocket. No, all due respect to the great Kojima. Obviously,
Dude,
he
yeah.
made things movie like. He's amazing. But it's just if you're a fan of pure stealth, and I never forget, they were like, "Yo, look at that meter on the bottom. That means you're in complete darkness." And it just felt real. The lighting system. I was like, "Yo, this is crazy."
Dude, I remember specifically, I think it was like one of the sequences in the original Splinter Cell where there's like a light behind a fan and the fan is like creating like shadow, like it's reacting. And I remember being genuinely blown away by that. That was like, I can't believe this is a fucking video game. This looks so crazy.
Yeah, and all I used to do is just hide in the corner to and frame the camera to see the three lights.
The three lights.
I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, motherfucker.
It's iconic.
Man.
It's iconic stuff. Yeah.
And that shit was from Thief. So like this is like Ubisoft is like so creative, like in terms of gameplay systems, everything. That the light and sound. Yeah, go ahead, Cog. Yeah.
No, Chris had a point, and I'll jump after Chris. Yeah, unless
well, no, I was just gonna, dude. Splinter Cell was it like I love Metal Gear. Like that's definitely Metal Gear is like an American anime, basically. To me, it's like it's over the top. It's fun. It's cool. It's like rooted in this kind of like pulpy like American espionage stuff. But like Splinter Cell was really like. I played Splinter Cell. I was like, oh, this is a stealth game. Like this is a true like actual like you're using the darkness. You're using all these different. I love even just the tools that you have, like the camera to look under the door. It's like there's something about it.
Oh my god!
There's something about the gadgets that you had and the limitations that you had and it was just good shit.
Yeah. Michael Ironside's the voice.
But then Michael Ironside, oh dude, yeah,
Classic.
perfect.
Yeah.
But that's old Ubisoft. We're waxing poetic.
That's why I was going to keep going. So pretty much, I got there. I'm like, okay, this is the company. Every game they get, Assassin's Creed peak. Okay, let's go. And for me, I think the vision I rocked with, but I started to see. This is where now we get to where we are now. When I started to kind of fall from them, Assassin's Creed started to become very annualized, redundant, and then that to me they went away from what I loved them for. And don't get me wrong, they got popular being more action heavy and stuff, but I was like, okay, I'm not really feeling this direction. And then they're kind of maddening, putting a Madden effect on Assassin's Creed, where it's like every year now. And I'm like, okay, so that started to get annoying. And then the other fall for me was I remember as a Destiny fan, Chris, like I remember when the Division first came out. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This is healthy competition. Let me see. And what I started to notice over the course, at least with Bungie, the fans will get fed up at a certain point, and then they'll be like, all right, here's the new TWAB. We're going to address the things you hate. We're working on it. Update, go fast is coming, blah, 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 right? Ubisoft was like, no, this is how we want it. We don't care about your feedback. And I remember the Division community being upset because this was during post-Taken King when Destiny started to fall. People don't realize Division took over. Like Division was the game for a while. Destiny was a serious trouble. I always laugh when people say Destiny had no competition. Division was a serious threat. Division 1, New York City, serious threat.
Yeah.
So then what happened is I remember going in the forums and people were like, hey, they need to fix this, or the dark zone is busted and yada, yada, yada. And they would not address the issues. And it was, I think this is kind of like that arrogance that we know what we're doing and we're going to keep it this way. Division 2 comes out, and I thought it had a good start. And again, the same kind of thing. So what I'm starting to notice, when it now tying this to this toxic positivity thing, is like they're starting to kind of feel themselves and get into these pockets. And now fast forward to Matty, which is like, obviously the Star Wars situation. And I was really curious to see how you felt about it, because I know how much you love Star Wars. And you were really critical. You were like, bro, the systems, the faction systems really doesn't affect anything. And I'm like, really? Like, it just blew me away how they kind of slowly are losing their way. And now, as Gene brought out in that article, there is serious trouble they are in serious trouble. So seeing the Assassin's Creed, which you surprised to see them delay that, but now they're going back to try to fix the issues with Star Wars. I don't know, man. It just seems like, that stock price ain't looking.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
not.
no.
Oh my god.
They're in a rough position too, specifically because, like, okay, so Assassin's Creed Shadows, the first Assassin's Creed in Japan, big deal. Like, I think, like, I don't know how they feel internally about it, but I would imagine that this is a big deal for me just looking at it, because not only is this the one that everybody's been wanting and asking for, but it already kind of has an answer. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima, when Ghost of Tsushima came out, I remember feeling like, oh, this is the Assassin's Creed I wanted. I'm good.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, hey, wait, no, hold on.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're here.
Yeah,
Don't
everyone
forget
calls it the
Didn't
break
Ubisoft
emergency
previously-
glass moment, right?
Yep, that's what Matty goes.
Did Ubisoft previously say like that it would be uninteresting to do
Yes.
Assassin's Creed
Yeah, so
game?
it was Alex Hutchinson, who used to who was the former director of Assassin's Creed 3 and the former directors of the Assassin's Creed series. He said, it's not interesting, and the feudal Japan is way too overrepresented. I'm like, where the fuck are these games in feudal Japan that are open world?
insane.
Now there's a lot, but at
Now
that
there's a lot.
time, not at all. Yeah.
And that guy went on to take over Stadia.
Oh, great.
That's why I recognized the name. I was like, this guy's got bodies, bro.
And then later he went out and says streamers should be paying royalties to game companies.
Yeah.
That was his next big idea.
He's one of those, like, I'm putting together a team, and it's like him, Don Matrick,
Phil Harrison.
Phil Harrison.
Yeah, Phil Harrison,
like all these
Don
guys, like
Matrick,
Don
Alex
Matrick.
Hutchinson, Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, Peter Molyneux. So all
That's
this
the
is
squad. That's the squad.
the Mount Rushmore of horribly aged takes.
The biggest fucking liars and scammers in the fucking industry.
Bro,
Holy
I'll
shit.
never forget that Connect game. Was it Project Natal with that Milo kid?
Oh, Milo reacts.
Oh my god.
Dude,
accent, Chris.
Dude, I remember specifically watching that. I would have E3 parties, like whenever there was an E3 thing, because this was back in the days where it would be Xbox in the morning,
Yes.
like in the afternoon,
And then Sony
at the night.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
a perfect excuse. I remember going home early,
Hell yeah.
like from school sometimes, and my parents being like totally fine with it, because like, look, it's the day. And it's like at the end of the year too. It's like June, so it's like, but like you're at the point where nobody cares anyway. So like I would have party. I would be like, hey, everybody, come to my place at like 11 a.m. We're gonna watch this thing. We're gonna eat pizza, play games, do split screen, eat sex, and then we'll watch the Sony thing. It was so much fun. I wish they still did it that way, but and I remember like sitting there watching Peter Molyneux going, Milo, what's this paper, Milo? And it's like, and Milo would be like, that's a paper. And I'm like, oh my God, what do we see? This is obviously not real. It was the least believable thing I've ever seen.
So this happened in like what, 2010? How old were you, Chris?
Well, no, it was 2010 or 2009. I can't remember. It was one of those. I was in high school. I graduated in 2011, so this was like my...
Yeah, you were in school still. You were still young as shit, and like they couldn't even fool you, you know?
No, of course not. Like, this looks like a Pixar character, and he's like reacting in real time to like a fucking webcam. Are you kidding?
It's like it was clearly fucking scripted, you know?
This is like, we're 2 years away from... Look, realistically speaking, like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of times where I felt that way about a lot of technology that was shown at games showcases, where like I remember when No Man's Sky was first shown. I remember being like, no, like this is not like everybody was like eating that shit up, and I was like, oh, look at how cool. It's like, yeah, it is really cool. There's no way that works the way we can't even make a full like one-to-one city and make it fun. Like that's why we shrink New York down every single time it's in a video game. It's why we shrink all these places down. Whiterun is not a realistic city. It's just that way because it's a video game and it needs to be like. So you're telling me we can't make a realistic New York to scale that is fun? But imagine billions of planets and that's going to be fun to explore. We're skipping a step here, guys. No shot.
Imagine if Death Stranding was to scale to the United States. Like,
right. Yeah, it's like,
I would feel a lot differently about that game if I had to cross the entire scale of the United States.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like I remember feeling that way about it. It's like no. And that was another one. Natal was just like, dude, what do you? Oh, it's a skateboard.
Yeah.
So the scanning something into the game
Bro.
was the most egregious thing to me. Where you were like, I think what does he hold up to the? It was like it was a piece of paper. It was like a drawing.
He handed it to him.
And he's like, he holds it up to the paper, and then like Milo reaches off camera. He's like, "Oh, it's a good drawing," and I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! He does not know. That's not real."
Bro, the Project Natal press conference is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, God.
My favorite thing about that whole thing is like, I don't know if it was the same press conference or it was the year before. I don't remember, but it was. You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam, there it is, and he turns around, and the Avatar basically turns into like a fucking Cronenberg. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Again, I remember these times. Absolutely hilarious. I forgot how we got off track. I don't know.
I was watching Assassin's Creed. As you were talking about Assassin's Creed, right? And the annualization.
Yeah, we were talking about like the Mount Rushmore of people who yeah, and we got onto Peter Molyneux and then this sidetrack. But yeah, no, Ubisoft. I feel like honestly, Ubisoft has been in kind of dire straits really since Unity. I feel like Unity was like the moment where everybody kind of their perception and their tolerance kind of shifted dramatically.
I think it's 2014. So Assassin's Creed Unity came out in 2014, and so did Watch Dogs, and so did Far Cry 4.
And they do AC Rogue the same year.
Watch Dogs was a big one. Watch Dogs was a big one where like y'all fucking tricked us.
Yeah, that was the hustle. That was the hustle. Yeah, the vertical slice.
That game was still good though. I don't want to hear it.
I like Watch Dogs 1 the best actually. Because
it
wasn't what they showed.
It was not.
It was good.
Yeah, but I love that.
Wait, hold on. Wait, what are we talking about? We're talking about Watch Dogs.
We talk about what Gene is trying to isolate and pinpoint when we think the fall happened. So we talk about Ubisoft. So we talk about 2014, I believe, right?
Right. But what is this like? That game was actually good. Is that word?
No, I mean from a core standpoint, but we're talking about we were fooled.
Yeah.
For what they showed us, like that, we never got that.
I will say this: I this is the first time I've ever heard that because I remember getting a lot of shit because I remember finishing Watch Dogs and I'd be like, I kind of liked it.
No, I liked it too.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like I remember getting a little bit of flack for it, but I was like, this game delivered for me. Like visually, obviously not the same, but I thought like Watch Dogs is wholly unique in your ability to fuck with people a mile away, and like that's so fun to me. Like just zipping through security cameras, like I'm just gonna activate this grenade in your pocket and just like watch you freak out. Like I love that sort of sandboxy shit. So I had such a good time with that game, and I liked it more than the second one even.
Look up skill gameplay videos. People play Watch Dogs 1 like they're fucking John Wick. It looks really good. And that was like disarming moves and everything. Like Watch Dogs 1 had some sauce, but it definitely launched. And look, I fucking love Assassin's Creed Unity. You know, like Chris is saying, like it started around Unity, and it did. But in Unity, it has aged well, and I love it. But the triple shot of like Far Cry 4, it's another Far Cry. And it wasn't as good as Far Cry 3. And it's like, okay, well, I guess they're going to annualize Far Cry now. And like Far Cry is a formula, right? Because I remember because I was thinking for me when I checked out, it was Far Cry 4.
Sure.
Because I was like, I really love Far Cry 3. That was like revolutionary. What are you going to do for Far Cry 4? I played it. I was like, this is fucking boring. This is the same thing again, except like not as good as Far Cry 3. So are we really going to keep doing this? And that's kind of what happened.
It was Syndicate for me. And it's so funny. I went back to Syndicate before.
And you like Syndicate now, but
love Syndicate. I'm like, this game's so fucking good. But at the time, I was so burnt out because the year Unity dropped, if you want to add another game to 2014's lineup, I think AC Rogue was the same year. It might have been the same day because they had like the last gen version and the next gen version.
Well, that was was that? Yeah. No, I think you're.
I know
you're
Rogue
right.
and Unity were tied together in some way because what was funny is people were shitting on Unity, which reviewers got really early, and Ubisoft hid AC Rogue and didn't give codes out until 12 hours after the game was out. And it was funny because people were like, oh, Rogue is better than Unity. I think time has been kinder to Unity for sure. But for me, I got burnt out on Assassin's Creed with Syndicate, and that was the game. I think my review was like titled like same old. And I was like, this shit's just so, because they hyped up like, oh, we redid our whole combat system, which was one of my complaints with Assassin's Creed is like, all you do is hold RB, and when someone attacks you, press X, you counter and kill them. And that's all you do. No combat. And it'd be fine if it was just a primary stealth game, but there was so much combat in those games. So Syndicate comes around, they're like, no, we redid our whole combat system. It's like the same fucking thing. Even to this day, it's a little more easy on the eyes animation wise, and it flows a little better. but it's still the same fucking combat system. And all
And it came 1 year after Unity, you know?
Yeah.
So that was when we were realizing, oh shit, they're really just going to keep pumping this shit out.
Yeah,
and that was when it
that's
started.
when
I think that's when the Ubisoft formula really started to like
it was a lot of
congeal.
things. Yeah, because they had that, the lying to consumers. You know, that was when I think 2016 was Rainbow Six Siege, where you saw the before and after of that. And I also loved Siege, but it wasn't the game they first marketed to us.
Good point.
Trust started.
You're right. I completely forgot about that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. I got those Ubisoft games really early. The first Ubisoft game I played was Batman Vengeance. Like that game fucking rules, in my opinion. It's one of my favorite Batman games because it's based on the animated series. It had like Mark Hamill in it. Like they actually went out and got the voice talent for it. Like on a cinematic level, especially for its time, it's really well produced. It's got a great story. Like it's an awesome video game. And Ubisoft used to do a lot of tie-in games. They did TMNT games. They did Batman Rise of Sin Tzu. And a lot of those were like really important to me growing up. I hate that TMNT game though, just for the record. But yeah, like when I became cognizant of them, I think it's the same as all of you guys. It was Assassin's Creed. That was such a big deal, particularly for me. Assassin's Creed was always my brother's series. Like he was the Assassin's Creed guy because he loves history, still does to this day. And Assassin's Creed was sort of that conduit for his like current enjoyment of video games alongside his love of history. And so I'd always watch him play those games. But for me, I really got him with AC2. I was never a big Far Cry guy, though. I really think Far Cry 3 is kind of overhyped. Like I remember, like I know what it did for the industry in a sense, but to me, it was like also one of the worst things to happen to gaming because I'm like, this is the checklist open world game that would not only define Ubisoft for like a decade, but many open world games afterwards. And that was the other thing. I just think Ubisoft is like a death of 1,000, not cuts, but slashes, bro. Like these were big, deep cuts, like lying to your consumers, you know, the quality going down, template design, going back to the well way too often. I popped off on Far Cry 6 when I reviewed it because I was like, I was surprised Ubisoft ever gave me any sort of review access again because I literally said that Far Cry 6 is the most masturbatory game design I've ever experienced. Because I was like, they were just like, oh, Far Cry 3 was so fucking good, dude. Like, let's do that again. Like, we're going to burn down a bunch of drugs with a flamethrower again. Like, we're going to do it all again. I'm like, I said in the video, I was like, do you guys have a fucking original idea left in you? Like, are you this obsessed with your past selves that you just cannot think forward? It was such a frustrating game for me. That was when I think I was patient with Ubisoft because there were games like Far Cry 5, probably my favorite, honestly. Like this, just because of the story and how I think like daring the ending of it is. I'm like, holy shit, dude. Crazy game. You know, otherwise it is just like same old Far Cry. I never finished that one. But you know, they had the frustration. I think the reason the belief in them lived on is because for many they were like, hey, you're a template and we know you're never going to deliver pure greatness anymore, but like you'll give us something that we comfortably know will at least be good. And they've lost even that, which really sucks. But also I think the belief lived on because they would deliver occasionally, I think, stellar games like out of nowhere. Here's Mario and Rabbids. Kingdom Battle is amazing. And Sparks of Hope is also incredible. And I'm like, they're just like, hey, here you go. I'm like, first off, this is an amazing collab. Second of all, these things should not work together where it's like an XCOM style Mario game collabing with Rabbids. And it's really
big deal for Microsoft. I mean, so Nintendo to do that.
And fun. It was amazing how well it worked. So there were those moments, at least for me, or if you want to speak to this year, the new Prince of Persia game, Lost Crown.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is really fucking good, dude. This is a great Metroidvania game. They have Rayman, I think, Origins. That was in 2013. They had Valiant Hearts. Like they have these moments they just experiment and they do something really special. It's just that their biggest games can be so catastrophically bad or fail so hard. I remember like with The Division, you know, I love The Division 1. Like I played that a lot, but a lot of people were really critiquing that game because I think of server issues at launch, but that was pretty common for all live service games at that time. But Ubisoft in particular got a lot of the brunt of that. And so they took that feedback and came back with Division 2, which was like very much I think the ideal live service game. It was like content complete. They weren't piecemealing anything out. You had a lot to do before, like when it launched. You didn't have to wait too long for support. But the game didn't get like a ton of players to our understanding. And, you know, so again, their failures are so big that when they kind of get the feedback, the criticism, this is very much a one strike you're out kind of industry, unfortunately. So I feel like Ubisoft's kind of been given a lot more chances than really any company I've ever seen.
That's true.
They really
Yeah.
have had a long leash where it's surprising all of this is happening now, because I feel like people have just they've had so many fans. Like Valhalla was considered like and it is the most bloated Assassin's Creed game, maybe the most bloated Ubisoft game, but it was like the fastest selling, potentially best selling in the whole series. So it was like
$1 billion in revenue as of 2022.
yeah,
and 20 million players, maybe not 20 million sold, but 20 million players.
yeah.
Which is a ton. But is that enough to keep the whole company afloat? The fact that they have 18,000 employees, which is like more than 4 times the size of the entirety of PlayStation first party studios.
It's
really
wild.
The sales of AC Valhalla is supposed to keep the whole company afloat. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, they seem to be such a big organization, but like their output seems a little bit. It's not even necessarily that it's all terrible. It's just that it's because what is it? Beyond Good and Evil's been on the shelf for fucking forever. There's all sorts of things that keep getting canceled. Like we talked about the Splinter Cell project that was canceled. So it's like it feels like their output's like pretty paltry and just in terms of volume to justify that amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, going back to Assassin's Creed Shadows, I mean, this is going to be big for them. And I think the unfortunate reality is that they've pushed this game out, further out, likely because Star Wars Outlaws was undercooked and they can't really afford something like that for something with as many eyes on it as Assassin's Creed Shadows. But the unfortunate reality is like, that's the right call to do, I think. But then you also end up even closer to presumably when Ghost of Tsushima 2 or Ghost of Yotei is out. Yeah. So it's like now I don't know. It's that's a rock and a hard place situation where it's like, you need this extra time to make this worth it, but also like it's going to draw even more comparisons now than it otherwise would have. And it always would have, to be fair.
Here's a comparison of the size of Ubisoft versus Sony first party studio. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out in November 2020, right? They come out November 2020? 2020, right? 5,909 people in the credits. Red Dead Redemption has 7,315 people in October 2018. So I think that goes to show how Red Dead Redemption 2, I always like to call it the Great Pyramid of video games, where you just throw bodies against the game to build that shit, no matter what. If they're fucking bleeding, who fucking cares? Finish the fucking game, right? But Ghost of Tsushima also released 2020 alongside the same year as Assassin's Creed Valhalla. 1,796 people. Like less than half the amount of people that made AC Valhalla, Mm-hmm. But they pumped out AC Valhalla, like a year, 2 years after the previous one,
Yeah.
So I think that's what that's a fucking third of the company dedicated to Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft's been bloated for a long while. I think before, it's not going to be much longer until they go through some serious cuts. Like I think like if AC Shadows doesn't succeed in a massive way, I think they're going to have to sell off to an investor of some kind. Who that? My guess is still like Tencent. I really think, but
fuck.
Yeah, I know, right? Like people think they got it bad now. Just wait till Tencent gets their hands.
Oh, see, Assassin's Creed Odyssey fucking came out the year before fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla, man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is lunacy, man.
Yeah,
that's
okay. Oh, 2 years, 2018. Still 2 years later, that's crazy,
And then before that, I think was Odyssey and Origins back to back. I want to say Origins was 17 and then Odyssey was 18.
Origins was 2017, and then after Odyssey, that's when they decided, okay, we'll take a year break, and then we'll release another game that's even bigger than Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of content and size and length.
Yeah, like it's because their business model was so annualized that when they had to pull away from that, they couldn't. So they like forced Far Cry into that role. Far Cry suffered, and Assassin's Creed couldn't, because then they were like, let's have our cake and eat it too. Let's put Assassin's Creed out the same year as Far Cry. They're trying to make as much money as possible. They're literally a perfect example of just falling prey to the business model completely.
Yep.
Like you got to build yourself for long-term success. And I mean, technically they've had that, right? Like they've been around for a long while, but you just see where they're at now, and just like all trust and faith is gone in them.
It feels like it's at a breaking point, especially with the development of AA right now. Like
Yeah, they're in a seriously bad place, I think. And it's not to say that again, like we've talked about how many games that they've made that we all love, I'm sure. Like I could be misremembering. Were they Child of Light?
They were or a Child of Eden.
No, it was Light.
Right.
What was
Child,
Child
Child
of
of Light?
Light?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Fuck,
yeah,
I
no, it
fucking
was
love
Child of Light.
Dude, Child of Light, I loved when I'm just trying to make sure that is Ubisoft.
No,
I'm pretty
it
sure
was because they
Yeah,
went through.
yeah.
That was during the same stretch they did like Valiant Hearts, which I love. They did another
Yeah.
game like that was during an interesting stretch of Ubisoft where they were doing everything. They were doing all big and small. It was like Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, which fucking amazing game. They were doing Watch Dogs for the first time. They were doing Rayman Origins, Valiant Hearts, Child of Light. Child of Light was like a real passion project for them. A real passion project. That game's amazing as well.
They published
great.
Playboy Mansion too.
And so going forward, I guess like I don't know, we've got Outlaws is out. It's kind of I didn't play Outlaws. I was kind of open to it, but I kind of heard too many confusing things about it. I think for me, my assumption looking at it, I had this kind of vibe going in before that game was even out, where I felt like this is going to be like almost like a Hogwarts Legacy type situation where I feel like the game's going to be fine. And it's probably not going to be anything crazy great, but I feel like the fact that it is in this IP is probably going to boost it for a lot of people. Like it feels like almost like you want to live in this Star Wars world. Here's like something for that. You know what I mean? But as far as like a groundbreaking game, I don't think there's really anything. I don't know if there's anything. I don't know if that's an accurate way to paint it, but that's what it seems like.
It's interesting you brought up Hogwarts Legacy though, because Hogwarts Legacy, and I played a little bit of it. I didn't like the game, but I did think that it was like an amazing representation of like the world. So if you're into Harry Potter, then you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, this is like a dream come true. I totally get that.
If you're a Harry Potter fan, that's a 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
And Star Wars Outlaws does do that too. There was a video clip of somebody finding a Mos Eisley Cantina just based on landmarks that he remembers from the fucking movies and the sets, and then, so they recreated that in that town in Tatooine perfectly, I'm wondering if nobody gives a shit about Star Wars anymore,
Yeah, I think I've always viewed Star Wars as an inconsistent.
I think we're here. I think we made it.
Gene, I'm with you, man. I get you now. Because like it's just it's always been an inconsistent brand. Like I grew up during the prequel era where like this is the worst shit ever, and it's funny because like now prequels are probably like the most loved era of Star Wars collectively, but at the time it's like this is so much worse than what we have during the original trilogy, and the games come around, and that early 2000s era of Star Wars games is fucking incredible. Like just
good shit.
What a fucking stretch with Battlefront, KOTOR, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Republic Commando, like the Lego Star Wars begins then, like just
it's true.
Force Unleashed, it's fucking incredible, bro. What a stretch, right? Like, and they really haven't replicated anywhere close to that magic since then, outside of the Jedi series. But then you get the sequel trilogy, right? And it's like now we go into the dip again as like Star Wars prequel eras on the rise, and same thing with them. Obviously, Disney Plus and the movies that they've done kind of speak for themselves, where it's like, you have something like Rogue One, which I think is phenomenal, but it's always been up and down. And I think for a lot of people, the timing for Ubisoft kind of sucked in that Acolyte was a backbreaker for people like me, right? Like I love Star Wars, but Acolyte was so bad. I had to like reflect and be like, how much do I like this brand anymore? Because I went through 5 episodes. I was like, I think I'm just like a fan of certain Star Wars products now. And I'm still interested in Star Wars, but I really looked back. I was like, what was like I consider myself a big fan, but I realized I'm like, I haven't watched, like, I don't get into the nitty gritty of like, I haven't watched Solo. Like I haven't watched like these little fucking shows that they put out. Like, I don't care about that stuff because there's so much of it and most of it's not very good. Like it kind of used to be, at least in my head. And I think when a game like Outlaws comes around, if it's not overwhelmingly great looking, right? Like on first glance, which Outlaws wasn't for many people, that kills it because they've seen so many first glance. This doesn't look very good Star Wars, like Acolyte versus first glance. Wait, this looks way better than we expected. Andor. And you see how those shows pan out and the reception and the conversation surrounding them, right? So I just think the faith in Star Wars isn't there. And that's like the nightmare scenario.
The consistency was never there, right? So it's gone.
Yeah. I that's what I was saying. The Cog and Defining Duke is like, this is the nightmare scenario for Ubisoft, right? Like I call Assassin's Creed Shadows like this smash the glass game. Like, oh fuck, we're in trouble. We need Japanese Assassin's Creed now, and they're doing it right because like we see how much trouble they're in, and they're like, yeah, what else do we do to recover our brand? Let's do licensed games. Let's go back to the well of like what Matty was talking about at the start of this, right? Let's go to Avatar. Let's go to Star Wars. And I don't know how Avatar sold, frankly, but like Star Wars not selling well, they're probably like, oh shit, like that was probably like an ace up the sleeve for them.
I think Avatar is sold like shit, which is too bad because the game's not bad. But
yeah, I've heard it's not great, or it's not bad, but I'm not super into Avatar, so I was not interested in it. I think they overestimated the popularity of that one personally, but yeah, you like look at those and they're probably like, fuck, now it's all on this game, which is why they delayed. So yeah, that's why I think inevitably they're done. You know,
and let's not forget about how stacked February is next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is
you're going to release next to Monster Hunter Wilds? Are you
Hunter?
fucking insane?
Bro, as much as I'm biased, I'm not a Monster Hunter guy. I know the impact of that IP.
Mm-hmm.
That is dangerous. You know,
Monster Hunter is going to suck up all the attention online on the streams. Like no one's going to give a shit.
Do you think
they're getting slaughtered?
Chris, do you think Avowed gets delayed? Me and Cog were talking about that. Do you think Avowed gets delayed again? Because they moved it out of presumably November.
They moved for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Game's coming out. We got to get out of the way. And they're like, all right, we're going to February, and everyone is there. You have
but maybe Obsidian smells blood. They're like, oh, they're weak now. They can't even stand up to fucking, I
don't know. That's a good
scared off a fucking Yote trailer. Come on,
That's a really good question. I don't know. I would probably delay it again.
I'd delay it again, bro.
Yo, give me another month.
Give me like for tuning, for sharpening.
Yeah,
tuning.
delay Avowed one more time.
Yeah, hey, we were able to get 60 frames on the Series X.
There you go.
One more time.
Honestly, dude, I feel like I could wait for Avowed. Like, take as long as you need. To make it as good as you need to.
I see, but I said to Cog, I was like, with Fable coming out presumably end of next year, it's like I don't know if Xbox wants to push a fantasy game closer to the fantasy game that I think people are very much more interested in.
Yeah.
Do you think Fable's coming out next year? Because I feel like, I don't know, man.
I feel like end of next year.
They're promoting it as such. So
I mean, yeah, I know. I'm just so jaded at this point where it's just like, how many years ago did we hear about this fucking game? Like, I love Fable, so like it's been annoying to be like, oh yeah, Fable's coming, and then it's like 5 years later,
and we still have no idea what the game actually looks like. We have no idea what the user interface looks like. How
That's
you actually
fair, yeah, like UI and
buttons.
Interaction and that stuff. Like we've seen gameplay, we've seen like walking around and stuff. It looks amazing from what we have seen. But I get that.
Yeah, there's no real gameplay loop. We definitely haven't had a Fable Direct.
Correct.
Anything,
Oh, dude, that'd be great.
I think the developer.
I would eat that shit up if there was a Fable Direct. Make it fucking 45 minutes long.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I feel pretty. I don't know with that game. I don't know. It's like a cautious optimism because from what we've seen, I think it looks great, and I think it's interesting that Playground is doing it. I think it's like a really fascinating. It reminds me of almost like maybe like a Guerrilla moment.
Yes,
where it's just like let's let them stretch their wings about, and it looks. I think it looks pretty cool so far, but again, we really have no idea what the fuck the minute-to-minute experience of that new Fable is going to be. But
also you bring up Avowed and Fable are being released together. It reminds me of when The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima both released around the same time. And I feel like we haven't really talked that much. I don't really see people talk about how weird that was and how I think that might have stunted the sales of both games. Like why, they're both games about killing people, and they're both. So it's like, why would you release one or the other? And I feel like even Neil tweeted like, "Hey, it's good to combat with another studio," and it's like it's the same fucking company. What the fuck are you doing? You're the same team. Why are you competing against Ghost of Tsushima? So it's like, and The Last of Us 2 didn't sell that well, and obviously it probably wouldn't have because the leaks and also its sequel. But maybe it could have sold more, and maybe Ghost of Tsushima could have sold more. But I feel like the attention around that audience, the PlayStation prestige audience, was kind of split that time.
I imagine they probably just wanted to move on from The Last of Us Part 2, like PR wise, just turn the page. Like that was such a messy fucking pre-launch, honestly. Like the whole story leaking beforehand and the assumptions being made and all that stuff, and like everyone kind of knowing how things are going to go when playing it. Like verdicts were already made before the game even came out, and like they probably were like, we just need to move on. Like we just need to bury.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different factors that obviously killed Last of Us 2's growth. I think that is definitely the hacks that was the biggest contributing factor for sure. So. Yeah. But I think about like it was weird to release both games at the same time. Like, why would you do that? So I feel like Sony wouldn't do that anymore. And it would be definitely smart for Avowed and Fable to not release, because I know if Avowed and Fable both come out at the same time, I would have a hard time picking between both, but I would probably choose Fable.
I would choose
ultimately,
Fable.
you know? And that
every
sucks for
fucking
Valve,
day.
you know.
I love Obsidian, but I would choose Fable every fucking day of the
Yeah.
week.
It's
A
maybe the
good, a
most
good Fable game.
highly anticipated
Oh.
game from them. I think.
There's-
Yeah.
There's more questions about that game. You know, I just feel like we know enough about. Like I know enough about Avowed just by looking at it. It's like I think I'll like this.
Yeah, I know exactly how Avowed is going to play. And it's going to be cool, and that's chill. You know.
Yeah.
I still have no idea what the fuck Fable is.
Fable's a mystery right now.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we look at Assassin's Creed Shadows and we know exactly what that game is going to be like.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, look. To be fair to them, they're borrowing some Splinter Cell type stuff. I saw the stuff that they were doing about like using lights and shadows. Like, okay,
they
cool.
brought back the Chaos Theory with a candle blow. It's like, fuck, dude. Like that.
Yeah,
And it was like, dude, it took you that long to just bring back that one sick
that's
move.
the thing is that, do you guys think Shadows looks bad? Like, objectively speaking, you look at the game, because I look at some of the stealth for like Naue, I'm like, you know what? The parkour looks kind of nice. She's like dragging people into rooms and like silencing them. I'm like, okay, this is.
I think it looks cool, man.
Yeah, there's stuff about the game that does look really good.
The only reason I'm hesitant on it is that it's Assassin's Creed. it's like
You know,
that's
that
literally,
story
and
is
I know
just,
like
That's the issue.
yeah. So I think
because it's
I
got
think I'm
fucking
probably
stink
gonna-
on it now, right?
Yeah.
It does have stink on it. It's unmistakable. It does feel like a desperate. It feels desperate to do this now
Mhm.
Yeah.
after so long of people wanting this. This should have been the third one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this should not have been the 49th Assassin's Creed.
You know why it should have been the third one? Because they fucking teased Japanese Assassin's Creed at the ending of Assassin's Creed 1, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
When Desmond saw all the fucking like signs or whatever like that, they showed feudal Japan right there, and they're like, "Yo, we're gonna go to feudal Japan." So that's why we all fucking thought that shit, you know?
Right.
Because you planted that seed in there, and now it's like fucking like 15 years later.
And then you had fucking, and then instead we got Assassin's Creed 3, which I think is fine. Like I don't know, like spending the first like 6 hours is what is it, Conway Twitty or whatever. The hell
Hate them Kenway, I think, or whatever.
yeah, whatever.
But he's mad funny, bro. I fucking love Assassin's Creed 3 after
you have to spend as fucking hate them, and then the next 6 hours are fucking Connor as a kid, where you have to learn the tutorial as a kid all over again for fucking some reason.
Yeah, Matty.
Here's what's really interesting about Assassin's Creed is like I've learned, because I joined Lasers, who's a YouTuber who he still does content, but he was like mainly Ubisoft focused, and him and his close friend Tyler, or Dynamite, I think his name was, they were like they were Ubisoft guys big time, and so they would do like full breakdowns of the Assassin's Creed story. I never played AC for the story. I've come to appreciate it as I got a bit older, of just like how interesting it really is, that trilogy, like including Assassin's Creed 3. But the thing that's interesting about AC3, some people love those opening sequences because of like the character villain. They're like, AC3 technically has the best villain because of like the time you spend with them in the beginning of the game. For me, I'm like weird, where I kind of love AC3, but all of my playtime is like I've only gone through sequences 1 through 6 one time.
Yeah.
And all my playtime afterward is just right after that. Like
Post game,
everything.
AC3 is dope.
It's so good. The
Really, really
homestead. Like people are always like,
Homestead.
man, I love that Assassin's Creed Black Flag introduces this ship combat. I'm like, motherfucker, it was an AC3. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it
did?
wasn't
It's
three.
like, that was a mini game for that game. That shit was popping off. I loved AC3 because of the setting and everything. Like, I always remember that first trailer. Disgusting.
It's a good trailer. They had their trailers used to. The Assassin's Creed trailers used to really slap, man.
Yeah.
Like, they were, like, really-
They would have that uncle soundtrack, you know.
Yeah. You'd have Tobuscus singing on it.
Your British pop in there, but it was sick though. It was sick.
Yeah, I mean, Assassin's Creed 3, I liked the setting a lot. I just think like I only played I played Assassin's Creed 1 and then 2 and then the Brotherhood, and I really loved 2 and Brotherhood like a lot. I never actually got around to Revelations because I think I was just kind of fine leaving it with Brotherhood. And 3 had like a good setting, but like, dude, Ezio's pretty goated. Like Ezio's a great.
Yeah.
It's a really fun character, and Connor, God bless him, is fine.
Mhm.
But that world is way better. Like I think, the colonial America is like really fun, like going through the trees and stuff. I think it's a good game. I just, man, this feudal Japan stuff is so over. Like it's not only is it oversaturated now in comparison to how it used to be, because it used to be like that would be like a really cool, fresh kind of thing.
Mhm. Especially from Western Studio. Come on, right?
Yeah, like we didn't really have that, and
And now
now
we
it's
already
kind
have
of,
that now.
Now we have that in abundance, and it's a pretty good chance that those other representations of feudal Japan are going to be far more compelling. The only thing that Shadows has, I think, for me, is probably the stealth, which seems to be a lot more fleshed out than it really ever has been. Confusing to me that that's finally fleshed out in an assassin game. Feels like that should have been like the prime thing for a really long time now, but I mean, better late than never, I guess.
Did you guys ever play Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Oh yeah,
I didn't play
Played and beat
Valhalla,
it.
no.
I survived Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I wish Chris would play it just to be an assassin in an Assassin's Creed game where the central mechanic of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla game is raiding villages with your army, raise torches, and screaming as you're burning houses down.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I always
God.
called it like Assassin's Creed as it evolved. Like really, I would say starting with Syndicate, I was like, this is a history action series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I knew they weren't speaking to me anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I fell off. I was like, and it sucks for me because I loved it at its core, what it was trying to do.
Yeah.
But when it became more popular, it became an action RPG that
Mhm.
has nothing to do with really stealth. And like,
They kind of had a Resident Evil kind of evolution in some way, where it's
Yeah.
just like, all right, here's this, subdued kind of slow paced horror game, and now like Chris Redfield's punching a boulder into a fucking volcano. It's like,
Mhm.
whatever, okay, fine, this is where we've gone.
Yeah, it's so sad because Unity was like the best and worst thing to happen to them, because obviously we know how bad the launch was for them, but Unity had so many great ideas.
Mhm.
The parkour is still phenomenal to this day, and in turn Syndicate carries that a little bit forward, but it really started there. But the fact that like open-ended mission design was just done away with after that AC game has never made sense to me. Like how you could choose, like it was a very Hitman like how do you want to take out your target? There were challenges in the mission, optional objectives, disguises, like items you'd have to get into secret entrances. Like it was such a deeply complex game compared to anything they had done before and anything really after. It will always bother me. And the co-op feature. Co-op was great in AC Unity. Like it's so frustrating because I felt like that was the I had a really good experience reviewing that game. Like I showed it in my review that there was one time I fell through the floor, but otherwise Unity was great for me. I had such a good time with it where I was like, this is like the height of AC for me. I was like, this evolves everything in such meaningful ways. The crowd density, like how believable, like Ubisoft always does, even to this day, a really good world space. Like they're environmental artists and who set up like all these NPCs and what they're doing and their activities and the barks they have. Like it's just fucking great. And that was to me the peak of it as well. Just like the riots in the streets and everything like that could happen, the dynamic events, just such an incredible game still to this day. I feel its map will give you a heart attack if you open that up and look at the icons. It's straight vomited onto the screen, but
very Ubisoft.
It's like what you think of when you think, oh, Ubisoft open world map. It's like that's the map I think of every time.
It's the meme.
Yeah.
They have
It is a
their
meme.
maps.
It is a meme.
I never played. I fell off after Black Flag. I like Black Flag, but like I just didn't jive much with it. Like it's the ship stuff I thought was cool, but like I'm kind of like,
if you're done with Black Flag, then you're done with Assassin's Creed. Then that's really
yeah. But that's the thing. It's like I wanted that like assassin kind of thing, like that stealth kind of thing, and yeah, I never even bothered to give Unity a chance because I think when it came out, it was so fucking.
It was fucked.
It was so broken that I was like, well, I'm not.
When it first came out.
Well, I'm not gonna. And to be fair, like you said you like fell through the floor once, but everything else was fine. I had that exact experience with Cyberpunk at launch.
Yeah,
where,
I
like,
feel weirdly blessed because I had the same thing with Cyberpunk. Like my shit was not buggy. Like that's why I came out. I was like, I fucking love this thing, man. It's so good. People were like,
because
it's horrible. It doesn't work.
That's why. Yeah, it was fine on PC.
Well, dude, I played it on Series X. I think it was like
it was
the
fine
thing
on Series
I run.
X. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember being like, this is. I mean, it doesn't look as good as I would like it to, I guess, but like this is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Like there's no big problems with this at all. And everybody was coming after me. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Mhm.
Haven't you seen this game? And I'm like, yeah, I beat it. What do you mean? And then you see it running on base PS4 and it's hilarious and it's a clown show.
It was wild.
I actually did a stream playing the base PS4 Cyberpunk version, Cyberpunk 1.0 unpatched.
Oh boy.
And it is
How is
a
that?
wild experience. There are
Totally
no
different
cars.
video game.
No cars. No cars on the road. Period. You couldn't
That's
even crash
amazing.
into anything. There was just nothing going on. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk is literally modern gaming. Like you look at 1.0 versus now with the updates and Phantom Liberty, totally fucking different experience.
Yeah, people thought Cyberpunk is like, oh my god, look at this unique disaster. No, it was a canary in the coal mine for AAA.
Yeah.
You know, all games are going to go through this shit. All games are going to take this fucking long.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they just learned the wrong lessons from Unity, because I think they launched a broken game. And even though they had like that open design philosophy and they had like a lot of great shit, I feel like they saw that people weren't responding to it well, not because of that, but because of, just the overall. Generally speaking, I feel like a lot of baffling decisions come from just, pinning certain failures on the wrong things. Like I think that game was toxic at the time it came out, because I remember that meme that was going around of like the people with their faces missing and it was just their teeth and eyes. And I'm like,
the eyes. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
and so they were just like, well, why? Yeah, and then they were like, well, we're getting a lot of bad feedback on this. It must be the mission design or something. You know what I mean? I feel like, unironically, I unironically feel like that's how a lot of studios, like the way that they troubleshoot like what the core issues are like really like wrong.
Yeah.
And they learn really incorrect lessons.
Well, that's what this Eve's note seems to be like, because he's thinking that AC Shadows is something about the agenda, and it's like maybe I don't know, but I think it's because people are just really really fucking tired of Assassin's Creed, and then now you're just gonna cynically break out the Japanese one.
Yeah,
and then
it's also just the way. Did you guys see the single Tory gate and with the
Oh boy,
like
I did see that. So Legendary Drops mentioned that. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
that's
And dude, it's just a matter of like, this is a company that, let's be honest, like very progressive, very forward facing with that kind of progressive approach, like very all inclusive. That's okay in my opinion. But when you do it and then you're very disingenuous about it, I think that pisses people off more than anything online. Because that's, now you got both sides after you.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you got one side, you're like, okay, whatever. But now you got everyone after you, because it's like, dude, you are being legit, like just stupid with how you're handling this.
Yeah, to catch people up, and I didn't even know about this until I watched that video. But there was a Assassin's Creed Shadows toy. I'm not sure if it was made by Ubisoft directly, but obviously they have to oversee it. But then the toy had the two characters, and they had a half Tory gate as a background. And for folks who don't know, the half Tory gate is a famous symbol of the Hiroshima bomb.
Yeah.
And
that is crazy.
And you don't want to do that to your first game in Japan.
Yeah.
Stupid idiots.
In the video I did, I'll put the pictures here in the
that is
server
such
for
a
you
wild
to see, Chris.
oversight, dude.
And then they stole like a design from like a temple. So it's like, there is actually legitimate issues that people in Japan are having way beyond, they have a black samurai. My issue with Assassin's Creed Shadow is, why does he got to be a black samurai? Why can't he be a black ninja, man? Like,
I don't know.
Like, I'm mostly disappointed that he's got to be a samurai. Why can't he also be a fucking ninja, bro? Like why does a black dude have to be the slow lumbering guy? Dude,
I will say, dude, there was a clip of, I think, Yasuke jumping into like a hay bale and he just crashes through it, and that kind of
I didn't see that.
That kind of, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to say it won me over, because it, like, I don't know.
That was good.
It was cute, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that there's that much detail here. I don't know. I'm rooting for it, because I would like to have a good Assassin's Creed game again. It would be cool to have one that focuses on stealth that's received positively. It would be, I think the 2-player kind of thing is actually like a really dope idea. It's experimental in ways that I feel like we don't often see from Assassin's Creed. So, I mean, hopefully it's good, but Ubisoft's trajectory right now seems really just tumultuous, and I don't really know how to feel about it.
Yeah, I'm the reason why they kept making annual releases. I played and bought every single one. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, but it's tiring. Yeah. Anyways, I think I'm satisfied.
Are you satisfied?
Yeah.
I'm not satisfied. I want my Splinter Cell. I'll even take Conviction, man. I liked Conviction. That's a fun action game, but like, just give me something.
Conviction
give me
was
something
good.
to play.
Conviction was good. Blacklist,
Yeah.
I never finished Blacklist because Blacklist was one that I avoided because, what is it? I remember the launch I got it on PC, but like you needed like the launcher for Ubisoft. And I was like, I'm not doing
Blacklist
this.
is
Yeah, I
so
think-
good. It's like the only
Yeah, which is
comparable
why
to,
like
Dishonored.
they're releasing AC Shadows on Steam. I'm like, fucking thank fuck. I think
thank
Matty,
God.
you pointed it out. You know,
Yeah,
like
it's huge.
in your video, like
It's like
dude,
Bethesda
just
did
get-
that a while ago. Got rid of Bethesda, and I'm like, thank God, like they woke up to it. But like EA's doing it with Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I'm like, okay, I think these developers are realizing you just gotta be everywhere, man. Like you just
Yeah.
you cannot do your proprietary game launcher, especially in this day and age with handhelds. Like they're more relevant than I think these companies realize. Like I would have loved to. I said in the same video you're talking about, Gene. I was like, I would have loved to travel to our San Diego show and play some Mass Effect, and I every time I travel, I'm like, how can I figure out Mass Effect? I'm like, I can't. I could use my ROG Ally, I guess, but like, Cog, I'll be honest, bro, I'm not feeling the ROG as much after Steam Deck OLED entered my life. It's
I like that clean UI.
yeah,
I respect
fully
Mhm.
replaced, unfortunately. But
All good.
What's the ROG Ally is its own
It's basically
storefront? Like, what-
Windows, but you can have every storefront on it.
Yeah.
So you're not just locked down to Steam. But to
Oh.
it's
to
literally like a
manage-
Windows PC on
it's really a Windows
with
PC,
a
technically.
gamepad.
Yeah, with a basic overlay of this proprietary software they have called Armor Crate. But what's cool for people who like outside of Steam, you can have, BattleNet, you can have,
That's dope.
all the different launchers. You're not just and Steam and big picture mode. So
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's the interface that's just rough because it's Windows. It's literally a PC without
Oh,
you having
no,
a mouse
yeah.
and keyboard. So
That's what Microsoft needs to fucking fix. That's what I think that's the Phil Spencer dream, right?
that's the lane.
You know, to just fuse, make Windows a better gaming product. You know,
Yeah, just remember a dedicated Xbox UI that's gamified, and you don't have to deal with Windows, and that's on the back end.
fuck the Xbox app. You know,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Xbox app is terrible.
Terrible. For how much
Yes.
they are in
Yeah.
on PC gaming, it's not acceptable.
I agree.
All right. Well,
But yeah, go play Splinter Cell Blacklist. Actually, I think you might like it. The story is a piece of shit.
yeah.
But
All about that level
it's
design,
a
baby.
good collection of missions. It's a good collection of missions. That's
I remember not liking like the hub kind of. I
Oh, yeah.
honestly like. I think it just kind of ran a little bit poorly on the machine that I had at that. I'm sure it'll be fine now. Like I just haven't gotten around to it. My backlog's so fucking hilariously.
yeah. The hub part sucked because you always have to fucking like huddle around the map and then choose a mission, whatever. But you know,
Yeah, it's a little bit lame.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah,
If you're
let's
dying
see.
for more Splinter Cell and you never play Blacklist, I think you might be surprised. There's some cool kills and some cool levels there, and it's co-op too.
yeah,
Oh,
give it a
it
shot.
is.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'll round things off at the end. Like Cog, what's your topic is? I like the word you used, but I want you to intro it.
Yeah, it's got to talk elixirs. We're gamers, so we got to gamify this a little bit. Yeah, I was just thinking, as far as liquids or drinks or things that either for like medicinal purposes or just if not, things that just kind of make you feel good, kind of thing. So for me, I'll jump it off. The reason why I thought about this topic this week is that I've been working out. The joke with me with a guy that works out a lot is like, bro, leg day, what's up? Well, what's going on with you? So I've been doubling up. I've been ramping up, on that this year, and I'm getting improvement. But as a result of that, like, bro, I'll sleep and I'll get some of the most vicious Charlie horses in my life. And for those who know, that is brutal.
I just
Like-
got one the other day. I like flexed my calf.
Oh,
By the way, not even from working out, just from being sedentary. I flexed my calf and rolled out of bed on the floor, like, oh fuck,
bro,
like, I was done, bro.
done.
Yeah.
Like this, it is vicious when the muscles spasm like that, and lock up. So I start researching. I'm not, and I look. Granted, water is the ultimate elixir, and
Sure.
I try my best to drink as much. Probably Matty's probably killing me because I see what he does. We do. That man got there. It is. He got the junk. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, I got to do better on that. But
That's a
started
jug of water. That's dope.
Oh yeah,
the
he's no joke.
140 ounce gallon here we got going on.
That's
Or a little
crazy.
bit more in a gallon.
So I'm working on that with the dehydration aspect of it, but also, part of it is I was like, okay, why is this happening? A lot of it is due to electrolytes. So I started researching. I'm like, all right, what can I do? And I don't want to get the Gatorade because part of me is like it's too much sugar, too much artificial other stuff in it. So I started researching. I was like, try this organic coconut water. I'm hearing good things about coconut water. So I did some research and it was like maybe 2 drinks. One was like something Vita Coco, and the other was like
Vita
Harmless
Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Vita Coco,
Yeah.
Harmless Harvest. So I'm like, okay, Vita Coco is the number 1. Harmless Harvest is number 2. The Vita Coco guys are like, hey, it's cheaper, you can get it everywhere. But the Harmless Harvest guys were like, yup, we got the best tasting. So I just bought one of each, and I tried it. And I have to admit, Vita Coco is good, but I have to give Harmless Harvest the slight edge because it just tastes so good. But
It doesn't. Vita Coco doesn't taste amazing.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, Harmless Harvest tastes so good. I was like, oh, it just got the cool packaging and everything. So I went with that. And literally, bro, like, no lie, Matty, within days, I have not gotten a Charlie horse again. Like, I'm sleeping. I'm like, yo, this coconut, this organic coconut.
Harmless Harvest. I've never heard of this.
Bro, it's expensive as hell, though. That's the way Vita Coco wisdom. Harmless Harvest is just way too expensive. And Vita Coco, you'll get access. If you're anywhere, you're in a pharmacy, you get Vita Coco anywhere. That thing's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Vita Coco. It is good for you.
It's the PS5 Pro of Elixirs.
yeah, that's what it straight up. So now I gotta admit, like, organic coconut water is my new elixir. So I just want to throw this out to you guys. You know, let's start with Chris. I want to hear like any, and it doesn't have to be medicinal if it's not, you know, or anything that's a feel good thing that puts you in a good place. I need to know what either one or many of your elixirs are.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, specifically, I wish I could remember. This has never left my mind. I had it like a handful of times and then never again because I couldn't find it. But I think it was like vitamin water had this like lavender, like this blue lavender vitamin water, which I remember seeing on a shelf and being like, isn't that a flower? Like, what the fuck kind of flavor is that? And it's so fucking good. It's so, I don't know what the hell it is. I can't find it anywhere. And I'm definitely not going to order it. But like, I bring this up a lot in just the shows that I've hosted over the last like however many years. But dude, there was something about being a kid in New York specifically and going to the pizza shop, going up to the fridge, and there was a glass Snapple, glass lemon tea on like a hot summer day, man, was just something else, man. Like, and that shit's like way bad for you. It's like, it's all sugary. It's sugar hell, dude. But I still have yet in my 30 years of existence to have a drink that it was more refreshing on a hot day than like a cold Snapple after the shake. Slap the bottom, you open it and you
pop, that snaps.
Good shit. And they don't make it anymore. Like they make Snapple still, but it's all in these like
plastic
bottles. And I actually have here in my parents' place. I'm never gonna open them, but like I have like the last like case of like glass. I think it's literally
he's got the elixir, the classic. Oh, that's the classic, bro. They don't make them like that no more.
Nah, man, it's good, man. I'm never opening this. It's probably gonna look like shit super soon because it's so old. But like, I just think it's interesting. I just think it's interesting that they just don't make it anymore. I think I actually messaged them directly. I was like, "Yo, where's the glass?" And then they messaged me back. They were like, "Hey, Snapple." They were like, "Hey, we'll send you a case. Give us an address." And I did. I gave them like a mutual address because I didn't want to give them mine. And nothing. They just didn't. They just lied. They just completely lied to me.
They just lied to you, bro.
Yeah, they just straight up. But dude, like, I swear to God, like for a while now, or for a while there, like there was a good like year-long period of time where if you went to Snapple's Twitter account, every reply that they would have would be to people asking for the glass back, and they would be like, "Sorry," or like, it would be like some excuse. Like the plastic's actually really good for the environment. I remember they said this specifically. They said like, we're using a very, very environmentally friendly plastic. And I'm like, it ain't more environmentally friendly. It's not more environmentally friendly than glass, my guy. Like, when you do it, and I'm sure there's a bunch of reasons. I'm sure it's lighter to ship. I'm sure it's like it's less prone to, you know, damage. Like obviously, like glass bottles can break, and I'm sure like I'm sure there's like a bunch of, you know, monetary logistical reasons why that is, you know, the way they operate now, and it's all these gross plastic bottles. But I swear to God, man, maybe it's just me. I don't think it is. I think you can taste the plastic. I think you can taste the plastic.
There's definitely a difference in the flavor. Yeah.
I mean, I even notice it with like Coca-Cola and like soda. I don't like soda. I actually don't like soda really at all. I'll indulge in like a Mexican Coke every now and again, just as like a little like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. There's something about it that's kind of novelty and fun. But even in that, it's like you can, dude, there's a difference, man. Like out of a glass bottle, a Coke hits.
Yeah.
and out of like a plastic fucking gross gas station container, it's just like you can taste the difference like pretty immediately. But those are the ones that I think of like when I think of like the drinks that really like
Nice.
that I think I was like, oh man, I wish I was drinking a protein shake during my training for creator class that I really, really liked. I think Matty actually recommended the exact powder on a show that I was doing.
It the mass gainer?
Yeah, it was like the cookies and cream
So
mass
good.
gainer shit. It's like,
Yeah.
ooh, shit's really good. The peanut butter that I had to add to it for extra protein kind of fucked the flavor up a little bit, to be honest. Peanut butter is almost like an onion, where like if it's in something, it's just like that's the flavor now.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly.
And I love onion, but like that really, even just like a molecule of peanut butter and a cookies and cream.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Shake.
I love both of those, but they got to remain separate. They have to.
Yeah. I had to gauge. I was packing so much protein. It's insane. I look back at that period of time and I'm surprised that I was able to move it all, because I was putting like 3,100, 3,200 calories a day, and I'm like a 1,500, 1,600 max kind of person. Like I'm small.
Were you doing like fat shakes? Like that's what I tried to do when I was
Like those gainers?
Like I would throw like an avocado in, I'd throw peanut butter in, like the mass gainer, obviously like 2% milk, like anything that just upped the number on the calories. Like but I felt so heavy, like it was a lead ball in my stomach after that shit. It was because it was like 1,000 calorie shake. It's just all this shit's just sitting in you.
Yeah, my shake ended up being like about 1,000, and I would have. There were some days where I would have one. There's some days where I would have two of them. Oh, and it was just hell. It was so.
You have to finish it.
Yeah, you have to. You have to hit your 32. And as long as the other meals are like salient and like reasonable, you can balance it out pretty well. But on some level, like as a treat, not something that I have to do every day. As a treat, like that cookies and cream, even if it was mass gainers, like that was a good fucking mix. I felt great on the days where I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, when you're not forced to do it. I feel you there.
Yeah.
Curious with Gene, if Chris is satiated. In terms of, I'm curious about your elixirs, because I know you're a man of culture, and you've had a history of also besides medicinal purposes. Thinking for other reasons.
I'm happy to talk about alcohol, but when I heard this first,
let's talk about it.
Well, obviously water, right? I try to drink a lot of water nowadays, but
is there a specific?
I am a
specific water bottle brand that you? Is there like a specific water bottle brand that you like will go for?
Fiji, the one that Asmon Gold tried to drink on stream, and he was like,
crazy.
If it was Dasani water, I get it. Dasani water is fucking disgusting.
Dasani's gross.
Dasani water. Have you tried Dasani water? That's the Coca-Cola brand water. And then if you wanted to taste plastic, that's the water to taste plastic in. I was like, man, I'm drinking all kinds of lead and poison. No problem. So yeah, if Asmon Gold was drinking Dasani water, I was like, no, I don't blame him. That shit sucks, But Fiji water, I don't know what he was tripping about. And then he grabs a big old soda and he's like, "Oh, fuck, dude! What a fucking, I don't know. It's all an act, though, right?
It must be, yeah.
It has to be, right? Like, I don't know. Anyways, as many people know, I am a recovering cancer patient. And one drink that the doctors recommended to me, and I still drink all the time, is Ensure nutrition shakes.
Ensure.
Oh yeah,
Ensure. Yes.
Yeah. My doctor says because so when I got sick, I lost 40 pounds. So I went from 160 to like 118 pounds.
Wow.
I was skinnier and lighter than like small women.
You're lighter than me.
Yeah, I was skinnier and lighter than you, and I'm 6 feet tall. So yeah, that don't get cancer. Crazy. You'll disappear. And a huge part of it is that they told me to drink Ensure because I needed a lot of protein. So, a lot of people think like, oh, you got cancer, so you got to eat only greens, right? So it's greens all day. No, my doctors told me you need to eat a lot of protein. You need a lot of iron. So you need to make sure you eat a shit ton of red meat.
Really?
So you were to talk about a 3,000 calorie a day diet for while you were training. I had a 6,000 calorie a day diet when I had cancer.
Wow.
Ew.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
And that included eating a shit ton of steak and a shit ton of pasta and eating so much or drinking so much Ensure drinks. I still have cases of it right now. So because I still drink it because they give you so much protein, they give you so much iron, and that helped me bulk up. So when I was ready for surgery, I was actually back to my normal weight. I gained my weight back.
Wow.
And they were like, "Oh, you're ready now. Like you needed to actually go back to full strength before we can actually cut you open because you might die if we don't, right?" So the whole point of it was I needed to drink a shit ton of protein and iron, and it helped. What was crazy was when I decided to watch Breaking Bad again after I got better from cancer, because I was like, Breaking Bad is like one of the most formative pieces of art about cancer, right? Like the whole thing started because he had fucking cancer. I was like, let me watch the show again and see how accurate they got it.
Yeah,
man, that show is so good. They nailed how it feels to be told that you got cancer. So if you ever want to prepare for like really really bad news, go back and watch that first episode again, because you really feel like the world hollows out. But at the very spoilers for Breaking Bad, not really, right. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but at the end when Walter White is kind of by himself and isolated. And he needs to have somebody. Did you guys all watch Breaking Bad?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Breaking Bad.
So when Robert Forster needed to deliver all of those like stuff to him when he was in that cabin towards the end, he had to bring cases of Ensure. He was like, oh, by the way, I got these cases of Ensure. It should last you a couple months because Walter was sick. And Robert Forster was supplying chemo to him too, right? So it's like you need this chemo. I'm gonna inject you with it, and then here's some Ensure. Keep you going.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Sure, elixir. I like that.
So Ensure is a true elixir of my life. That shit kept me alive for a long time. Thanks for reminding me of Vita Coca. I totally forgot about that because that was really good. And one of my ex-girlfriends really turned me on to it because I'm famously a recovering alcoholic too, and she knew I wasn't healthy. She was like, you need to drink this in between or whatever.
In between, yeah.
And that was good because she was my last girlfriend before I left Hawaii, and then she was trying to kind of get me off and wean me off alcoholism and everything. But when I was drinking, I really started drinking when I was a kid, when I was like 14 years old, right? I started drinking beer when I was taking taekwondo classes. And the black belts would have tailgates after practice.
This is interesting.
Drunk taekwondo sounds dope as hell.
Drunk taekwondo. So after practice, we all cool off with some Coors Light, and so there I am as a 14-year-old yellow belt kid, just knocking back Coors Light, And in Guam, the drinking age was 18. They only recently raised it a couple years ago.
Wow.
So it's been 18 the whole time. So that's why nobody gives a shit if kids are fucking drinking on Guam. But I didn't really start drinking earnestly as like a habit and as a passion until college. Obviously, when I started because on Guam we only have like Miller Lite, Coors Light, and Bud Light, the stuff like that. When I moved to the States, there was this store called BevMo, Beverages and More. So if you guys don't know about it, it's basically the Costco for beer and alcohol. It's the big box store. It's like the Best Buy for alcohol. And it's a huge, imagine a Costco size place, but there's nothing but alcohol in it. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't believe a place like that this even exists. But they'll get all kinds of beer and liquor from all over the place. And I became a real beer snob. I started drinking, only German beers, Bitburgers, and then like Guinness would be my shitty beer.
Oh,
that's crazy. I love Guinness.
I love Guinness. I still always love Guinness, but Guinness was my shitty beer. And I used to look down on PBR, even though PBR is like it became the hot thing in recent years. And I started to really enjoy PBR too because I moved back to Guam after California, and I was forced back into the world of Miller Lite and Bud Light and Coors Light, and import beer like Guinness. Even something as cheap as Guinness was like $20, man, on Guam.
Oh, yeah, no joke.
So if you're going to drink as much as I am, I had to wean off the good stuff, and so I started drinking Bud Light because of the calories.
Man.
I got fooled into Diet Coke marketing. I was like, oh, it's less calories, so you won't get as fat. So I just started drinking a lot of Bud Light and whiskey. People who know me back then, it was always a Bud Light and chased with a shot of whiskey. And that's how I would start the night off.
Right.
I would start off strong. Like I want to start drunk.
Oh, you going in? So you did whiskey and a shot down first. Okay, I see what you're doing.
First, and I would usually do, and in my next 2 beers, I would take another shot with them. So I would be 3 beers and 3 shots in within the first hour.
Jesus, she going in.
Yeah. So that's how hard I drink. Because for me, this is why I'm an alcoholic. Because for me, there's no point in drinking if you're not getting fucking drunk.
We gonna do it. We gonna do it.
Yeah, if I'm gonna put a drop of alcohol in me, then I might as well get drunk. Right.
Right. I respect it. He go in.
So it's really hard for me, like even here in DC, because DC is very much a happy hour town, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I finished work at 4:30 in the federal government, So let me go to the bar. People will drink and have a drink and like talk and meet with people and like, okay, well, that was nice. I'm going to go home and have a regular night. I couldn't do that. I can't do that. If I'm drinking, I got to keep drinking until I knock out.
You got to beat the game. You got to finish the game.
It's a completionist run.
He's a completionist. He's got to get the trophies. He's got to get the
trophy.
The platinum.
It was kind of like that. So it was crazy when I first moved to DC, and then like all my coworkers would take me out drinking, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love drinking, blah blah blah. And it was crazy. I realized that I did not fit into the city when I would black out, which I would tend to do, because if I'm taking 3 shots in the first hour, then I might, I'm not really keeping track of what I'm drinking. And I would just black out. And then there were so many times where I would just black out in DC and wake up, like come back online, and then realize I'm the only person from my group that's there. And I'm just talking to strangers around the bar, and there's nobody around me.
Gee, you gotta be careful, bro. Like that's
I'm sober now, right?
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Back in the day as well.
I don't touch a lick of it. But I mean, that's why I've been arrested twice for drunk driving, twice for drunk driving. And the first time, there's a law in Hawaii where there's regular drunk driving, and then there's extreme drunk driving, where you're over the alcohol limit of 0.08, and then so I was 0.16.
Oh my god!
Oh my dude!
Damn.
So that was the first one, but I got off because when they arrested me, they gave you paperwork, right? One of the sheets of paper, their Xerox copy machine broke down, and they can only copy one side, so I didn't get the other side of the sheet of paper. So my lawyer saw that, and this is the same lawyer that represented all the actors that lost, cast of Lost, because while they were in Hawaii, they were partying like crazy, and they were drinking and driving. So there were like 5 of them: Michelle Rodriguez, Daniel Day Kim. They were all getting arrested. Wow. I hired their lawyer, really good guy, Robert Patrick McPherson, great guy. And the funny thing, though, is that I went into his office. I was like, yeah, man, I got arrested, And then he has a little mini fridge. And then, did you guys watch Lost?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't.
Yeah, so long ago.
Do you remember the Dharma Initiative?
Dharma Initiative, hell yeah.
Yeah, so he had Dharma Initiative beers in his mini fridge. He had Lost branded beers from the show, like this is like in his office, and then like all over his office is like all autographed pictures of like the Lost cast saying thanks Patrick, thanks Pat,
Oh my god!
So this motherfucker, I gave him my records, and he was like, "Oh, this side is missing. Oh, we won already, and we did win." We did win because the cops failed to give me the information needed for me to process my arrest. So they fucked up.
Nice.
So even the judge was like getting mad at me. He was like, "You were extremely drunk, but we got to get you off on this one." I was like, "Okay, well, whatever."
Dude,
obviously, I didn't fucking learn my lessons. So I kept drinking and driving.
Dean, the idea that,
and then the second time I got popped, I was not as drunk. They were actually after me because I only had 1 beer and 1 shot. I had my beer and my shot, but I was fine.
Kind of.
And I got it behind the wheel, and then that's when they got me again. And I was like, I was like 0.081. I'm just over it. And I was like, you know what? I think that they were. I can talk about this now because the guy's in federal prison.
Statute of limitation. Let's go.
Yeah. The cop tried to blackmail me.
What they do about you, son?
They knew where I hung out, and they actually sent a dude over to the bar to send me a message and saying, "Hey, officer so and so isn't going to show up to your court date, and if the arresting officer doesn't show up to your court date 3 times, then the entire case is dropped."
Yeah, got thrown out.
So the cop was going to be like, he's not going to show up if you pay him. I think it was
the extortion.
Yeah. So it was $7,000.
Oh,
what? And I was like, I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to risk my reputation for blackmailing a cop. Yeah. So I'm just going to deal with it. So, and then so he went to federal prison. He actually went to jail because he was actually trying to extort hostess bars for security. So he was doing some gangster mafia shit.
Yeah, that's some Jason.
Yeah.
And then the mama sons were like, "Fuck that!" So they just recorded all the phone calls.
They got him.
They turned it into federal authorities, and they got his ass. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude! That's what happens when you fucking Koreans, motherfucker."
Got real.
Anyways, what was I talking about? Drinking. Yes. That's why. Like I've stopped drinking because it was a huge problem because I could not stop. I was a monster.
I respect it, bro.
In terms of alcohol,
dude,
I loved
the
it
idea
so much.
the idea that you went into the idea that there was essentially how you're describing it, like casual and ranked drunk driving is wild to me. Like there's like extreme drunk driving where it's just like, all right, man, this is trials. That's next level stuff.
Yeah, no. What was that Kanye lyric? It was stronger. I was drinking earlier and now I'm driving. That was my era.
Yeah,
I was listening to Exhibit and the Alcoholics. So,
all the licks. You had the licks on it.
Yeah, licks and Exhibit would have songs like Some Call It a Problem, I Call It a Gift. That was like my life. I was like, yeah, I can drink anyone under the table because I would not. I would black out because it would take so much to get me drunk. That's why.
Your tolerance is high on top.
My tolerance is way too high,
That's what it is, yeah.
So like on my so that Trump birthday that I was talking about earlier, that Trump hotel birthday, I wasn't driving, of course. I was already arrested and I lost my license at that point, right? So my attorney was there and he actually brought a DUI machine, the breathalyzer machine.
He brought the breathalyzer.
He brought the breathalyzer machine and he tested me like right afterwards. And he was like, "Gene, you are 0.36. According to the Harvard Medical School here, you should be clinically dead."
Hey, yo.
And I was like, "I should be clinically dead, motherfuckers! Yeah,
shots!
Yeah, I did another shot and did more cocaine.
Gene was a wild boy outside, boy. Man, woo.
So you wonder why I got sick?
Yes.
You wonder why I got sick?
You exist on a different plane of it. Like I was gonna say, like the closest I ever even been to that was like the first like 3 months that I lived. The first 3 months that I moved to LA for. It was just like that was like no holds bar. That was like I was drunk a lot, like an astoundingly. And then at 3 months was like, all right, I'm good. I'm good. I got that out of my system. I got the freedom because like living where me and Matty live, or lived. It's just like I don't know, man. You don't really have a ton of freedom. Not that I was necessarily interested in going to like those like big parties. I didn't really care. But once you're out and you're on your own, you have the freedom to do it. You're just like, fucking all right. Like I remember being like, yeah, why not? Give this a shot. And I'm fine.
Yep.
I'm all right.
Look, I will say, and this is probably not a good thing to say, but if I was a celebrity, like an actual like at least even a B tier celebrity or an A tier celebrity,
yeah,
you would probably have found me at one of those fucking P Diddy parties.
Did he use the freak off?
I probably would have been at a freak off one time or another.
There's an extra room for that.
Yeah.
You see that video, the commencement speech, where he's like licking his lips at the commencement speech? He's talking about how like it's so crazy. God bless.
A lot of photos are coming out right now. The big bed stuff. A lot of celebrities. It's
the white parties and everything. That's the thing, though, man. I used to attend parties like that in Hawaii. Oh, it's a all white party, and I used to think that shit was corny. I'm like, fucking dressing up all white. That shit is corny, man. But I used to go to them, and it was awful. And
it was the era.
Yeah. Did you see people finding Ellen DeGeneres' old tweet from 2016, where she says, "I like to call P Diddy my cuddle daddy."
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I told Yeah, it's all I've been seeing is like I'll go on Reddit and there's just like just a laundry list of celebrities that just have like these old pictures or statements that are just being brought back up, and like
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
it's
saying.
so interesting to see how
Everybody
deep
quiet
this
for a
thing
reason.
runs.
Yeah.
Dude, it's funny. Like there was a show when I was a kid called I think it was All That.
Yeah.
Where there's a scene. Have you seen the clip that's been going around?
No.
Where like what they did was like it was a kids sketch comedy show on Nickelodeon. I watched a fair bit of it. I remember. And there's one, I guess, sketch or whatever you call it, or it might have been a cold open, where there's a kid, he's waking up and he opens his window, and they have like a green screen in the window, but the green screen is like super, and it's just P. Diddy. And he's like, "Hey, I see you. Hey, what's up?" And the kid's screaming hysterically, "Mom, P. Diddy's in the window. P. Diddy." But it's like it is an amazing
Take that.
Like just from how well that clip has aged is amazing. Because it's way funnier today than it ever has been.
A lot of stuff hit different now, yo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Usually shit hits different in like a negative way. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, that photo with so and so. I shouldn't have taken that. But this one, like the insistence of the sketch being that P. Diddy is indeed a monster is hysterical on a Nickelodeon kids show. It's amazing. Good shit.
Yeah, man. That's the era. I got to switch it to Matty. I don't think I got his balls before. Elixir, sir. I know you are not the drinker, or you used to be. You know, saying on the recreational tip, but long many years ago. But on the health tip, I'm curious on either way you want to attack it, Elixirs.
Yeah. When it comes to alcohol, I have like none for anybody. I don't drink much. I never really did. I
Good for you,
think
man.
Chris and I had a very similar thing where I had like a stretch when I was 21. Like, oh, okay, I can do this now. And went to a bunch of parties, got it out of my system one summer. And I think one day I woke up like mega depressed, and I just kind of connected the dots. I was like, I don't wake up feeling really good at all after this. And like my mental health was just fucking plummeting.
How are you able to figure that out so early at a young age? What the fuck? Why did I figure that out at fucking 33? You know?
I went to therapy. That's the main reason I figured it out. Like I wouldn't give myself all the credit, but
I did go to therapy for my alcoholism too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
that helped me wean me off too.
I kind of did it just to socialize. Like I was pretty much trying to be someone I'm clearly not, but like I wouldn't say I wanted to fit in. Like that's never been my energy, but like these are my friends. This is what they were doing. So I'm going to hang out and just do it with them. And, most nights I'd be okay, but otherwise, like I wasn't getting fucking sloshed every night, but I'd have like a night or two where it's just like, goodbye.
Yeah.
So for alcohol, I don't really have anything. Water. But for when it comes to things that have helped me, special drinks, I remember when I earlier this year first did a flight to North Carolina. It was like my first time flying in a couple of years. And I was looking up what other individuals who had like chronic swaying were doing with flying, and what was their response like, and what were they doing to prepare for the flights. And some of them were just like, yeah, you need to really hydrate. And one of them recommended, this is like not a really unorthodox elixir, but it's the only thing I can really think of where I'm like, this worked for me big time, is the hydration IV electrolyte packets. And they're like, have one of those inside a bottle of water, drink it before your flight, and you'll feel pretty good. And I usually, when I fly, I just feel off. But I did that. And this is my first flight when I didn't know how my body would respond. I just knew I was like cleared by the doctor. Like, yeah, you're good. Like, try flying. And I went and I was like, oh, I feel great. Like, I don't have any like swaying or disorientation or anything like that. And like, that was huge for me. So anytime I'm flying, like in my bag I take with me is like a bunch of these packets from the hydration IV. And I feel like that's kind of like my flight medicine, if you will. Like I take that with some Dramamine and I'm good. Like I can handle it. Like, for all the flying I did in Cali a couple of weeks ago, like, I was surprised I walked away from that completely clean, but I was like, okay, my body's number one in a good spot finally. But number two, I think I figured out the elixir, if you will, that, helps me get through all of that without any sort of response in a negative way to it. So that would be one of them. The other one I would say is, if we're talking about like feel good drink, like gamer drink, I love to get, it's at Costco. they have a strawberry lemonade juice. And I usually take that with it's blueberry and lemonade seltzer. And I throw them in the same mason jar with a bunch of ice, and it's just so delightfully refreshing. I'm like a huge seltzer fiend now because I used to drink a lot of soda in high school, like I like every day, and there was nothing more satisfying. I still to this day love the sound of like cracking open a can of something, and so that's why I think I love seltzer, because you get the benefits of water, but not the drawbacks of soda, if you will. So I do love to mix juice with seltzer. Like that's another one. I don't know. I realize when we sometimes do Constellation, it's like I think I'm a very fun person to listen to with games, but I'm a very fucking boring person otherwise, because it's like my elixirs are so simple, like hydration packets, guys. Love chamomile tea. That's another one.
Chamomile. Oh, that get sleep on.
Yeah,
goated.
Just like
perfect.
I had chamomile tea on the night of my wedding. I was just like, I love herbal tea so much. Like just it's sort of like pick your mood, pick the vibe you're looking for, and like go for it. And so, like digestion, I need like lemon zinger or something like that. So I'm just like a huge tea drinker, but chamomile is like magic. I just like when I want to really feel that stress flow out of my body, chamomile tea.
Chamomile tea.
All right. Dude, yeah, I don't know. I'm a boring elixir guy. So
no, you good. You good,
man. Dude, a hot cup of tea at night. Like I've been more on a hot tea kick lately than I probably ever have been. Just because like I was more of an iced tea person for like my entire life. Like I love and I still love iced tea. Like iced tea is like iced tea and lemonade are like, it's good shit. But I've been drinking hot tea like pretty much every night. Like, well, not now because I'm vacationing or not at home. But like every time I'm at home, I'm like, it's night. The sun's going down. I'm gonna whip myself up some tea. Yeah, and it's a perfect like end to a day. Like I don't know, there's something.
It's like a mental. Like I think that's what it is. Like seltzer's like a mental. Oh yeah, I remember loving soda, and I'm kind of getting that fix right now. Or tea is like my day's over. Like there's a couple things I do every day where it signifies like I'm done working on my game, or I'm done working on videos, and like I'm just off to do something for me. And usually like the cup of tea is like if I'm holding that, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you were talking like talking about tea got me thinking about coffee, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this because it's like it's been the most recent addition to like my obsessions. Is that there's a Mexican restaurant walking distance from my apartment in LA that makes a horchata cold brew, and it is fucked how good it is. Like, have you guys ever had like horchata? I'm sure it's like it's like rice milk and cinnamon. It's kind of it's a little bit difficult to describe, I guess. But dude, like this place added coffee to it. I've never had a coffee version of that drink, but dude, it is unreal how good that drink is. If anybody has that shit available to them, if you can find horchata mix or whatever the fuck, make half of that, pour in half of espresso. It's god tier shit.
Coffee is like my biggest temptation because my wife is like a huge coffee drinker. Like she loves coffee. And so I don't, but I will smell the coffee beans, and I love the smell of coffee beans, bro.
It's so good.
So fucking good. The most I use coffee for, here's a life hack, is I will crush up bits of the coffee beans and use it as an exfoliator like every couple of weeks, like in the shower. Like I'll literally like rub it on my face, and it's pretty good for your skin. If anyone wants to check that out.
Does that actually work?
Yeah. 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 It's just
that's an elixir.
Yeah.
I've heard
if
that.
you will, like it's more of a life hack, but yeah, it's a good exfoliator if you want to. But the coffee, I love the smell of it. It's like as a kid, I used to actually a kid, by the way, like my dad would make not coffee but sugar milk is what I called it, and he would let me take a sip. I'm like that's good shit. And like all I cared about was the flavor, and I would drink it. Which is I was already a super fucking hyper kid, so crazy. Imagine that plus on fucking like coffee and sugar.
Oh, over.
Ridiculous. My poor parents, man. My poor parents. But
yeah,
dude, you bringing up coffee is like the temptation's been setting in more and more. I don't want to be a coffee drinker. I take a lot of pride in that. My energy is all me. It's all from water and exercise when I can fit that in.
Wait till you get old, sonny.
I'm worried young stuff. It's the smell. There's a vibe to coffee as well. Like But isn't it kind of like just an addiction too? I don't know. Like it's.
I think so. Like I don't know how I feel. I don't think I'm addicted to. I can go a long time without coffee. Like, but I do. There is something about the vibe of a cup of coffee, having coffee with like a friend in like a coffee shop. Like I love coffee shops.
Yeah.
Like just sitting in a coffee shop and like writing something or like working on like I get that that's like a really like LA thing. It's like, oh, you're in the coffee shop, you're writing your fucking screenplay. but like there really is something. I don't know what it is exactly. It's probably like the mix of the smell of the beans and just kind of the feeling of I don't know. Now especially, it's where we're at now as like a culture or a society, whatever you want to call it. We're very like insular. We're very like isolated. It's very easy for us to get a lot of stuff done like in our we don't even have to leave our houses really. If you want to go grocery shopping, you could spring for like a grocery delivery. You could get food delivered. Like there's not a lot of stuff that you need to do outside. And so any opportunity that I get to just like sit in a coffee shop with strangers and just work on something with the ambience of it, it's good shit. I'm a little sad to see like some coffee shops around my parents' place just out of business, and it's just like, oh man, it sucks. But
I
don't know.
Yeah, I was pretty satiated. I just wanted to give honorable mention to chamomile tea, like you guys mentioned, coffee, obviously. Shout out to Sav's wife. That's the best coquito I've ever had in my life.
Dude.
Bro, I'm surprised you didn't go that one, Chris. I was waiting for the coquito. I was saying, because as far as feel good elixir, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, coquito is so fucking dangerous.
So dangerous.
I make coquito every. Oh wow, we're approaching.
Well, yes, that's what I thought it was coming. I thought I was getting coquito from you for sure.
We're approaching dude, honestly, it's just alcohol is kind of out of my. I haven't given it up. I'm not like addicted to it or anything. I just haven't really been drinking lately. I haven't been going out and socializing. I've been doing like a lot of work and a lot of traveling and just like with my family right now. I'm not going to drink with my parents. Like, I don't you know, so, it's not been in my mind, but like, yeah, my go-to, like, it's like a Moscow Mule, but like, dude, coquito, for those of you who don't know, it's basically, it's Puerto Rican rum. It's, eggnog, it's cinnamon, it's delicious. And it gets people fucked. It's so funny. Like I brew like a big, like I make it myself. Like I brew it, I put all the ingredients together. I put it in like this giant pot and I bring it and like I usually have a ladle in it. And I keep having to tell people, it's like, listen, this is alcohol. Because it doesn't taste like the sweetness of it and like the festiveness of it. Like it really like kind of overshadows. Like you could drink that shit and not realize you're drinking alcohol. So I tell people, it's like, listen, you have to have like maybe 2 of these max and that's it. And people are like, nah, man, what the fuck? This is barely anything. I can handle it. And then everybody ends up getting sloshed and suddenly it's my fault. I tell you, I have it like on the, like permanently etched into the fucking pot, only 2 per person. Because things get crazy. But yeah, coquito, crazy good.
Absolutely.
That sounds like Korean soju, which is like our version of sake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But soju goes down even smoother. It's very, very smooth, and it will fuck you up like it's Patron.
Dude, it's exactly like it's not exactly like soju in profile, but like the smoothness of it is it's absolutely comparable.
So smooth. And then so the place that Daniel Day Kim and I used to go to was called Cafe Duck Butt, and this was owned by a Korean guy, and it's called Cafe Duck Butt because in Korea, the slang for nice ass is duck butt. So you're like, damn, man, that girl's got a duck butt because it sticks out,
That is so crazy.
Yeah, so you're like, oh man, she got a duck
you
butt
see
on her,
that
man.
duck one up? No, that duck was crazy.
Duck butt is nutty.
So the mama called a Cafe Duck Butt, and then my buddy who was a New York Wall Street guy, he moved back to Hawaii and he wanted to buy it, and he was like, no, I'm going to keep the name Duck Butt. That's very attractive, So his company name is DB Enterprises.
DB. Salute to DB.
But at Cafe Duck Butt, and I tweeted about this, they have a watermelon soju where they'll pour soju into a half cut watermelon, and you just drink that shit out of the watermelon, and it just tastes like watermelon, like a watermelon shake. Wow. And you just get one of those, and you're blacked out.
Insane. Honorable mention, even though it's not alcoholic. I don't know if you ever had Chick-fil-A frosted lemonade.
Hmm.
Oh
No.
boy,
Yeah,
that's
tried that.
crack in a bro.
Oh yeah.
I gotta stop those. Like those, I cannot. It's too much. If you, I implore you to try Chick-fil-A's frosted lemonade.
I'll
It
get
is
some right after this.
amazing.
Get some after this. Yeah.
I have to
Yeah,
put
you might
myself
have
on
just
timeout,
tempted me a little bit here, Cog. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
bro. I'm telling you, if you like lemonade, this thing is like the consistency almost like a shake. And they don't give you a lot of it. That's what pisses me off. Like sometimes I have to buy 2 of them because it's so good. And I'm like, bro, this is amazing. That is their best drink ever. They know what they do. Check that out if you guys ever go to
I
Chick-fil-A.
got one elixir.
What you got?
McDonald's fountain soda, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, the fountain soda.
The Sprite, bro. The Sprite. I was gonna mention that. The Sprite.
Oh my
The
god.
Sprite is good.
I
think
love
it's just
the
the
Sprite
fountain
beams.
soda.
You know.
You want to hear those ass backwards thing, right? Like when I was in college, I played a shit ton of hockey, and we would go to New Jersey sometimes for games, and we come back to our local diner, and we would just sit there all night and just like eat and drink. And I would have like at least 3-4 cups of Sprite after this, right? Like, oh, I just did all this exercising. I'm just gonna fucking put on like 600 calories of just Sprite. That shit was fucking crack, dude. Like it was
still crack. It's still
insane
crack.
how fucking good it tasted. But it's something with fountain soda. Like there's something
Yeah.
you put in there, but especially at fast food joints, like, oh
Yep.
my god.
Dangerous.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, it was always funny when Queen Elizabeth died, and they were like, "Oh, she had that sip of the McDonald's Sprite, though." You know? it really is that strong.
It's that strong, man. Nah, but I'm good, Chris. Thank you for letting me get that elixir off.
No, of course, yeah.
that was
it's so funny.
That was a fun conversation.
That is good.
And also,
yeah.
let me add, I never got into coffee. I've never been into coffee.
Yeah.
And so here's the weird thing: energy drinks like coffee and super caffeinated drinks, they put me to sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually I don't have too dissimilar of an experience. I think it's apparently like ADHD does that. Apparently, like if that is something that you have, like coffee doesn't really do much to. Coffee doesn't really do much for me. I just like the vibe and the experience of it, and I do like the taste of it.
It's tasty, yeah.
But
yeah, it never gave me energy drinks, Monster, Red Bull. None of that shit ever worked.
Yeah, I have to have more coffee than normal for it to give me energy. Like I usually like 2 shots of espresso and then a cup will give me like the amount that a cup of coffee would probably give somebody.
Even cocaine would put me to sleep. Actually, like it actually didn't do anything for me. You know, I was like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. I can go sleep. I'm tired. You know. And they're like, you just did a bump. I'm like, yeah, but I'm tired though. You know, so it's fine.
It's a sleepy bump.
Yeah, it was a sleepy little bump.
But yeah, man. No, shout out to Ensure also. Like my grandmother used to drink that a lot, and I got hooked on that shit when I was a kid. I was probably like, looking back on it, I was probably like upsettingly yoked for like a like a 8-year-old because I was just pounding Ensure like an egregious amount. Yeah. But yeah, Ensure's boss.
Isn't
I
it so
actually
funny?
have like a crate of it at home.
You saying that just reminded me of like when I first started working out, and you know, you're learning about like diets and what's good for your body. I always remember having like the most like I'm not him moment on my stream. I was like 18, you know, I think I was streaming like Fallout or something like that. Of course I was at that point. And I remember like I was eating Pop-Tarts after I got home from the gym. And somebody was like, oh, what do you eat, Matty? I said, like, yeah, I'm on like a gym diet, so I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm having fucking Pop-Tarts. And you just say that just like brought back that memory for some fucking reason. Of just like how absolutely fucking clueless I was, and like you having protein shakes at like age fucking like 7 is insane to me. I'm like that same level of just like me at 18, like, yeah, bro, I'm really taking my health seriously. I'm having fucking brown sugar Pop-Tarts to really like dial in on my health.
Because dude, I didn't think of like it was just the drinks that my grandma had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She would just be like, "Here's what I have," and I'd be like, "Oh, what's a vanilla shake?"
Yeah, it was like chocolatey, you know,
like a shake. Yeah. It sure is good.
Dude, the vanilla Ensures, like I would pound those like an upsetting no. Like I think I would have like 3 per meal basically.
That's insane, man. Because as a cancer patient, I had to have 3 per day.
Yeah, no, I was having like 9 Ensures. Like it was pathetic,
dude.
for like a
yoked out like crazy. Now I want to see Chris as a little kid.
We got to see little Chris pictures. Yeah.
All heavy and shit. Holy shit.
Well, I remember specifically. I remember specifically when I stopped drinking them, and like I remember feeling like, all right. And I remember I kind of got out of shape at 11 or something.
Wow, he really let himself go.
But I didn't know why. I didn't understand. Like, I genuinely at that point, like, dude, when you're a kid, you don't give a shit about like what's healthy at all. You're not thinking like, oh, I got to get my fucking vitamins in. Like, you don't give a shit. You just, Burger King for breakfast. Cool. Sick.
Yeah.
You don't care. But like, I remember just not understanding that the protein shakes were doing, because I just thought they were just vanilla milkshakes. I really thought they were just basically candy. And I remember being like, why are my parents just totally okay with me just drinking candy? Like, it seems insane. I really thought I was getting away with something, but alas. Yeah. I love this conversation.
That's
fun.
Like, this is fun. This is a fun one.
A lot of things came in.
This is a good topic, Cog.
This is good shit.
Yeah.
That's Elixir. I guess that just leaves me with I wrote in, I just kind of wanted to touch on the concept and I guess our relationships with like special editions. This is obviously a little bit inspired by the PS5 Pro anniversary bundle debacle. Like a grand and all of them in the hands of scalpers, I guess, which is unfortunate because there is something.
I saw one
that
go for
PS1.
4,000.
That PS1 gray is just sexy, man. But yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, ask around because, I feel like we all have that thing or like that IP, that property, that thing that like means a lot to us that like normally, dude, like there are games that I really love, right? Like I love Doom Eternal. I love Mass Effect, the Mass Effect trilogy. Am I going to spring for like a collector's edition Mass Effect thing? No. But then we do have these things that we're willing to, oh, that might just be a video game or that might be like a DVD box set, but like, damn, I got to have that extra bit of panache to it. And I was just wondering if anybody has anything that they've splurged on that they like, Matty's entire
my entire house.
Entire room. We'd be here all day.
I have 3 things specifically
What's your 3?
available here. There's probably more that I'm not even really thinking about, but like obviously Cog.
That stuff right there.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, yeah, baby. That
D1
clean.
The journal, all untouched.
Wow.
I love this fucking thing.
Wow.
It's just beautiful. I remember. I don't know if you had. Did you get this, Cog? Do you have this?
I don't. I was
Dude,
not
it
fortunate.
stinks. You open it, it's like it still smells fucking rank, dude. Like I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell they did to it, but it's gross. And obviously Halo Reach, and obviously the Master Chief helmet for Halo 3, which I got way later.
Of course. Oh, you got it later?
Way later. I couldn't afford it at the time because I was in high school and I had no money, but I remember getting that when I was in a...
There it is.
There it is.
That's it.
That thing is beautiful, dude.
That thing is dope.
And I finally it's funny, like when I was doing YouTube and things were going well and I was like living with people and I was like saving a ton of money and I just thought to myself, I was like, wait a minute. I can afford this. I'm an adult and I can get this now. And then I did. And I one of the best things. And this next thing is like very niche, very weird. I feel like even only Matty would even recognize it because we're the same age. Do you remember Invader Zim?
Yes.
Nickelodeon cartoon? So like, I don't know who gifted this to me, but it's like a DVD box set special edition case where it's literally the house.
Oh my God.
And it's like it has like the roof that opens and like
wow.
Oh my God.
It's interactive.
It's
man.
Holy shit.
It's
That's
cool.
dope.
It's weird looking.
That's
But-
awesome.
Yeah, just a couple. I wrote in the email that because I remember a friend of mine had like a Seinfeld DVD box set that was literally just Jerry's fridge. That's like real.
Oh,
And I
that's
was just
sick.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I have laying around. Obviously, there's way more that I could think of over the years. But I was just wondering if you guys had any ones that you hold in high regard that you like really were ecstatic to get. Some that maybe were a little bit disappointing. Anything really. And I guess I'll kick it over to Matty because I feel like he has like the most fucking
How
material.
about I
has
go
the most.
second because I need to gather.
Oh, he
the
has to
goods.
gather.
I have to
Yeah,
gather.
right.
We'll
Well,
do a
Cog,
little hunter
go.
gather. I have my headphones on. I'll hear everything.
No
but
problem.
You'll see me navigating.
Go
my
for it,
room
go for
in
it.
real time.
Yeah,
this
I'll
is
jump
fun.
it off. No,
It's
this
show
is
and tell.
fun.
I love
This
it.
is bad fun. So obviously, I just showed you guys the Halo, bro, the Halo 3, that helmet. It just was so iconic. You want something. I think for me, when you love a franchise so much, you want something, that physical representation of it that you think is accurate. And I was like, man, I've got Master Chief's helmet. Like, this is crazy. So that was that. The biggest one, and I've told this story many times on Duke, as obviously my namesake, Lord Cognito, based on ninjas, shinobi, stealth, being incognito, that kind of thing. And obviously Sega with the association and being a kid going to the arcades. And I made a promise to myself. I remember as a kid, I remember the Shinobi arcade machine. I was like, one day, I'm gonna own that. One day, like I want that. And I remember going to the arcade, being mesmerized by people who were extremely talented in the game. There was a kid named Don. They used to call him Shinobi Don in the hood, and he used to beat Shinobi on one life. The whole game, full playthrough. And that was like the Dark Souls of its time kind of thing. So I'm like, I'm going to be as good as him. And I'm going to get that game. And I'll never forget. It was, I remember I started working later on, and I believe it was a Texas arcade distributor was getting rid of all their arcade upright machines. And I found it on eBay, and it was giving the thing away for like $100. Arcade perfect, upright Shinobi. And I had that thing shipped. You know what I'm saying? I bought it. I had it shipped. And now, mind you, Chris, is an 18-wheeler coming down my block in the South Bronx, right? It's crated. They drop it off in front of the house. And I'm like, okay, so now we got to go up 2-3 floors. And they're like, no, kid. Our job was just to ship this to you. We're done. So I had to call King. I was like, yo, I got a crated Shinobi sitting out front of the house. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Can y'all come hold me down while I call movers to then move this thing up 4 flights of the house? So still to this day, well, because I'm no longer in the South Bronx, I'm in Jersey City now. But my mom, she's like, when are you going to get those damn machines? You still have them up in there. You should put them in storage. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, one day, I'm going to come back for them when I get my house kind of thing. So that's the second one. And then I would say the third is kind of a tie right now. Obviously, every time people see me, I was unfortunate. I was able to get the Ghost of Tsushima mask.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, like I wasn't able to get the collectors at launch, but shout out to one of my writers, Nicholas Downey. He had it. He was like, bro, I'm selling a bunch of stuff. He's like, I know how much you love Ghost of Tsushima. I could buy. He's like, I barely touched it. I did rarely open it. I was like, yeah. So I bought that off of him. And then the last one is actually a little bit more recent, which is as a big Tekken fan, I never really had anything from them. And the fact that with Tekken 8, they finally did like a collector's edition, stuff like that. So yeah, Tekken, having anything Tekken is big for me. And the last one, you already know, Chris, I got so much Destiny stuff. You see the tower and, having that stuff. So anything from Destiny. I pretty much, the one I regret that I missed that I should have jumped on is the Witch Queen one with the Savathun Ghost kick thing.
Oh yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. Destiny, the issue is like Destiny's releases were so frequent that like the no shot I was spending like fucking collector's edition money on every single expansion they had. Like, fuck off.
It's too much because they do it too much. But I will say my raid jackets, those my raid, because they're high quality, bro. Like I got the snorkel one from the Beyond Light raid, the Deepstone Crypt. Yeah, I got that joint, and a lot of their other jackets are pretty high quality. You get your name stitched and stuff like that. It takes forever to ship to you, but those are the ones I'm probably, because it's a flex. It's like, yo, I may not did day one, but I beat that joint, during contest mode kind of thing. So those are probably the ones that are the most nearest to me. Oh, Matty's
prepared.
Oh,
yeah, Matty's prepared. He's been scuttling around in the background.
Let's
There's
go.
plenty more, but I have some of my favorites here. First one, I know Limited Run has a bit of a spotty reputation, but I think their quality is guaranteed. They did the Master Edition for Knights of the Old Republic 1, and you can see behind me 2. Yes. And these are my number 1 and 2 favorite games of all time. So you bet I bought the most expensive version. Like on the inside, I won't waste too much time like unpacking it, but on the inside, this has like a Vibro Blade letter opener. It has like a Pazak card deck. You haven't opened it? Steelbook. It has the manual. Fucking awesome, dude.
You haven't opened it yet?
Oh no, I did open this one.
Okay, cool.
I opened this one. I opened both of them. I did.
Ooh, nice.
I could. I'm not like. I'm a believer that if like I'm gonna collect it, like I'm gonna use it. Like I'm not a reseller.
Yeah,
of any
me too.
kind, so like, I have no problem opening these. Like of course, when I crack the seal, there's that first thought of like, ooh, there goes the value. But like I don't sell my shit, so unless I'm going broke. So that's 1 and 2 really. This one's like probably my favorite. Is the mini nuke.
I wanted to get that and I didn't end up getting it.
Yeah. They did a re-release of it for the Fallout TV show. I almost bought it, I just have to change the batteries in mine though, because my this actually you press a button here, and it's like it's supposed to make like a nuke sound, but mine's busted. But yeah, I remember when this got announced, I was so excited about it. It's like one of my favorite collectibles ever.
Nice.
So that's that.
That's really good.
That's
dope
sick.
as hell.
The Fallout.
Fallout 4, the Pip-Boy.
Of course.
I used this.
Is that the one that
once,
works?
where you slot your
man.
phone in, use the Pip-Boy app. And I was like, I hate playing the game like this, but it's cool. I've had this on a stand in both my office, when I was in New York and at home, and then here now. Like it's one of my favorite collector's editions ever. I just thought it was
I
cool
should
to
get my
do.
shit too.
Yo, yeah, get ready. You better
Go
get
ahead,
ready.
sir. You have
Come on,
big
Gene.
collection.
I know you
I'm
got
ready.
crazy stuff.
Of course, I love Persona, so the rest of this is really Persona. I guess. Well, this isn't really special edition, but I love this controller. In particular.
Ooh.
Very
Oh,
picky,
yeah.
Spidey's
very
fire.
picky about my special controllers, and I think we were playing It's Take Two the other night. So yeah, I don't have it. I have the Fallout controller they did for when the show launched, and that was cool. But this Spider-Man controller is like my favorite thing ever.
Sick.
I'm not like Cog knows. He's heard me rave and rant about controllers and how stupid I think collectible ones are, but this one, I refuse to game unless I'm using this one. I love the Spider-Man 2 collectible controller.
Sick.
And for my Xbox, it's the Fallout one for those who don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, like I mentioned, I love Persona, and so they did at limited run these kind of Grimoire editions.
Fuck.
You missed out on them, G?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Grimoire editions for Persona 3 and
that's
4.
I never knew about this.
P4 is so expensive now. Fuck.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's a couple $100. I'm not gonna buy
Wow.
that.
I bought these for 70 each because I have so many versions of all these games. I was like, I also have to be smart. I have Persona 3 Reload in its collector's edition completely sealed behind me, and I'm like, yeah, I probably don't need to get any more collector's editions until I know where I'm gonna put all the statues. I still have to unseal that, so that's the next step. When we get the den set up, I'm gonna invade that room.
Man cave, baby.
Oh well, Laylee is just such a great wife. She's like, I want you to put those statues out. I'm like, really?
Oh, she's the one.
Yeah.
She's the one, damn it.
I was like, because I thought she was gonna be like, no, we're gonna have company there. She's like, oh fuck yeah. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, you're right. I was so ready to
right.
get rid of these. Let's see. Speaking of which, she got me 1 year. It was first Christmas or second Christmas together. Anyway, she knows I love the PS Vita, so she got me imported from Japan the Persona 4 Dancing All Night PS Vita. And I use this exclusively now, even though technically the original PS Vita is better with the OLED screen stuff. This has custom theme on when you open up the Vita. It's really fucking sick, and it obviously comes with the game and a bunch of other collectible stuff. You can kind of see here on the top what
there you go.
Vita looks like on the back, so it's got
That's cool.
Unique skin, which by the way, really important to mention because a lot of Vita skins are literally you lay them over your console. It's actually painted on to the system itself. So
Nice.
really nice thing. Last one. Oh, hold on. It's a treasure chest.
Whoa.
Oh, what's
Persona 5
this?
Royal.
Wow.
Treasure chest?
The game that got me to become a game developer had to get it. And so yeah, inside it's got a backpack, art book, all that fun
Sick.
stuff.
Sick.
Yeah,
That's dope
You
as
literally
hell.
find
Dope.
these chests in the game, and so I think it's just really cool that
Mhm.
they made that. So that's tucked away usually on that back there. But yeah, those are just some of my favorites or newest additions off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I got a lot of crap on, but I love it all so much. But I'm excited to see Gene's collection.
Yeah.
What's behind you, dude? So
Yeah, G's got stuff on deck.
Oh yeah. So, well, I think I don't have it anymore, but I'll start with the worst collector's edition that I ever got. And I think well, this is first of all, this is such a good group to even talk about Xbox shit, right? Because we are out of the four of us, we are probably the biggest Xbox players, in the whole network.
Oh,
LSM. Yeah, for sure.
Right? At least out of LSM, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
The worst collector's edition I ever got was motherfucking Fallout 76.
I didn't even know they had one.
No, the fucking canvas bag, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
canvas
You forgot about that?
Yeah, that's scandal.
And then I remember actually one of my this is before Twitter was a whole exposed platform, but I remember posting a picture of the backpack thing because Gene, you were at the event too, so they
I was,
gave you
that's
backpack.
why I first saw you in person. But yeah.
That backpack was so much fucking better than what
Dude,
they
gave to people paying for the collector's edition. Like the
That's right. You were the one that broke the story that we got like a slick ass backpack for the event. Because I still have that backpack. It's a good backpack. And I was like, dude, why did everyone else get that shit?
I donated it, but because I just like eventually was like I took it to a couple events and I just had this moment of like, I don't like this game at all. Like I like it more now, but I was like, it's 76. Like, give me a normal Fallout backpack.
Yeah.
I got rid of it. Sorry, continue.
So, so I think Fallout 70, because it came with that helmet, the Brotherhood of Steel helmet too. I gave that away to a buddy of mine in DC, and he was just gonna like use it for his shows or whatever, like wear that like as he's performing. So that was dope. Like Fallout 76, I think that is the worst one. Because they're usually pretty okay, and I try to avoid ones that are shitty, you know. And I don't usually buy them, and a lot of these I've gotten from like companies. So this is a cool one. You guys will all appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
I was going to spring for that. Like I looked at that and I was like, dude.
Yo, this is dope. This joint is dope, bro. This is one of the best. And that watch, you got the watch with it, right?
Yeah, I got the watch too. Yeah, I'm trying to open it.
My watch
Open this.
busted on me, unfortunately. So I tried to wear and use the watch, but you guys are responsible and kept it in there. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, you both did. So you both just didn't use the watch at all?
Nah, it's because I was like, it's too cool. Plus, it's not my smartwatch. It's not gonna never replace it.
Yeah, I already have an Apple Watch.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm never gonna really use. So I was like, I'm gonna keep it in there. So I'm with you, Gene. The Starfield Collector's Edition is sick.
Yeah. And it's actually on sale right now too for $285, and still, so you can just buy it up Bethesda. So if you still want, if you're still in hype in Starfield, and Shattered Space is coming out soon.
Oh yeah, Monday.
You know?
Well, I remember seeing that watch and I was like, that's a slick watch. It's
dude.
Like
nice
if that
watch.
like I have an Apple Watch, but I kind of resent that I have to charge it so much.
Right?
Like I don't know how I feel about it exactly.
Yeah, because then it doesn't last a day. You know, like it'll last for like a day and a half, and then it's dead. You know.
Yeah, if it lasted a week. Okay, but like I don't know what I got to charge it every single night. It's like I don't know.
Token, the credit chip.
The credit chip. That's sick.
Yeah, I got sick.
Yeah, I got that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then so behind me there is there's Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right?
Oh, there he is.
And then there's what's his face, dude? I already forgot his name from Shadow Erdtree. Mesmer.
Oh, Mesmer. Yeah.
Mesmer. Yeah, Mesmer. Shadow Erdtree. So I actually got two. So and there's I put Millennia behind there too, but I have Millennia. I actually have two Elden Ring collector's editions,
nice.
And then one of them is on unopened, and I have Millennia in the back too. I also had the Final Fantasy VII Remake collector's edition, and that's the one with Cloud.
Yep.
Cloud right there, on the Fenrir motorcycle. So that's probably the coolest item that I've ever gotten. Fucking Cloud on opposable Cloud with a big old Buster Sword on the motorcycle.
RX has some really high quality ones. Like I was beyond excited for 15, and when I saw it came with the Play Arts Kai Noctis figure, which I still have, and it was like fully posable and like the detail and like
that's huge.
Job. It's so good. It's so
yeah. So that's what he did for Final Fantasy VII too, a remake with Cloud. So I think that is probably the highest quality like item that I've gotten. And I was mentioning we're probably the biggest Xbox crew members of the crew because we all bought the Halo 3 helmet. It seems like because
not.
Like that.
I did not.
Oh, you did not
have the Halo 3 helmet. I apologize, gents. I'm a fraud.
I apologize.
I'm a fraud.
That's okay.
I apologize.
But you know,
I
like,
got it so late, dude. I got it in like 2018 when I realized that like I could afford it.
There's some collector's editions that I slept on. Like, you know what I don't have that I always go like, oh yeah, I gotta buy that. It's the Fallout 3 lunchbox for that collector's edition. Like that's like like duh.
That was sick too.
Yeah, that one's
I missed out on that one.
So cool, but I have yet to buy it. I keep forgetting to. The New Vegas one as well with like the poker chips and everything.
Mm-hmm.
On that as well. My friend bought
and I was a huge Fallout fan, but I didn't even spring for those collector's editions, which I think that goes to show how powerful Halo was in that like I really wanted the Halo collector's edition. And that was a time when I was just becoming, a solvent in terms of money, like Chris said. You're like, oh, I can afford this, and I can actually afford this on launch day and like buy it like an adult and spend a couple like over $100 on this game that I really, really love. And it's Halo 3, which is just like the biggest game of all time at that point, right?
It's crazy when you realize you can afford things after like because at a certain point you just kind of continue existing as you were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even if you come from like if you really had to scrounge and then you come into a position where you're like actually pretty solvent and you're doing really well, you still kind of have that mindset of like, oh, I can't afford this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just realize, wait a minute. No, yeah. What do you mean? I'm springing for this. Absolutely. One thing I regret not getting, although I guess I could still at any time, I just haven't gotten around to it, is that the Reach legendary. Like I have the limited, which is like the whole like, it's like the book that comes with Halsey's journal and all this.
Yeah,
like,
I had that too.
Yeah. Dope as hell. But the legendary one came with like it came in like a giant ammo crate. And then it was it had like the statue of Noble Team, and that's like the one thing I don't have that I wish
I did not
had.
get that one. Yeah,
I
did not get
like
that
in
one.
retrospect, because that's a nice looking.
That was a nice statue.
A nice looking statue, and they're kind of ramping up some of that stuff too. Like I just saw recently, like I think literally today, this morning, that they have like out of nowhere, they're just doing like an ODST statue of like Buck from like ODST from like 2009. I'm like, what the fuck is why? I mean, dope. I mean, cool. Yeah. But it's unfortunate. I looked at that after securing the Pro, and I just thought the thing that came to my mind was like that George Bush was like a second unreasonable purchase has hit your September. Yeah. It's like, oh no.
Oh yeah. By the way, I did not get any of the PS5 stuff because I literally can't afford it. Can't afford it. Any of it.
Yeah. I mean that I'm not gonna lie, man. Like that, I was thinking it's like I don't have to eat necessarily for a while. Like,
Indomie ramen,
dude. Like I will forever love that gray, man. Like that PS1 like late '90s gray aesthetic is just peak with like the different color buttons.
Ooh.
It's that's PlayStation to me. Like even just like
Same.
And look, I hate the way the PS5 looks. I think the PS5 is so ugly and so loud, and it's wild how much a color change like that completely shifts like the way you feel about a machine. It's like, oh, it's just the wrong color.
Yeah,
why are you doing this?
I thought about getting the controller. I thought about that. The system.
I'm definitely gonna get the controller at least.
I think I might get the controller if I can.
Is it still available?
No.
No. I think there's ways to find. Like I think a listener offered to help me out with one.
That's nice.
And I know, there's I'm sure there's ways
out too.
There's ways to get it.
Put it out there. What Colin say in the chat? He was just like, I'm sure some of the audience will offer it. I was like, yeah, bro. Must be fucking.
I might take it up because dude, man, that it looks good, man. Like that gray is the best color for PlayStation. It bothers me that this is such a limited thing. I get it. You can sell a lot of it, but dude, like I would deck the whole thing. In that PlayStation gray.
The 12,300 limited. That's only for the PS5 Pro 30th anniversary edition. That's a 12,000, right?
Right. Yeah. The controllers I think are a lot more abundant. But
yeah, and also the regular PS5 anniversary edition should be a little bit more abundant too, right? That's what I'm worried about. I don't care about having a PS5 Pro. That's the 30th anniversary edition. I don't need a $1,000 bundle. I would like a PS5 that has that gray color and the gray plates and all that, and the controller.
Are they making a base PS5 30th? I don't think they are.
Yeah, there is. Well, not the base one, but the slim one. The slim one.
Oh,
it's very irritating to me. You know, if you were to put this under a Reddit, it'd be like mildly infuriating. Is just like, why not sell the plates are detachable? Why are you selling a whole new console?
At least sell the plates, bro. Because the console itself is a gray too, so it does match. But like, I would actually just be fine with just fucking plates. It's fine, you know.
I want me, man.
Yeah, me too. Like I don't care. I want that gray, man. It looks good. It's sexy. It's a sexy gray.
Oh yeah.
I do want a PS5 Slim 30th anniversary. So that is my goal because I don't have a PS5 Slim. So it's like, oh yeah, you know, it'd be cool to have.
Are they doing that?
Yeah. So that's what I'm asking. Like, I think the PS5 Slim is not limited to 12,300. I think the 12,300 was only for the Pro. So that's what I'm kind of asking. Like,
I don't know. As far as I know, like I don't think there even is. But like maybe you're right. I didn't look too closely.
Yeah, because see, I'm not worried about getting a PS5 Pro. I know Sony's gonna send me one, right? So that, like, in terms of getting the machine for work or for play, I'm not worried about that. For a collection, though, I do want a 30th anniversary Slim and a controller. That at the baseline, $600. I can afford that, and I'll buy that for sure. But
there is a Slim 30th anniversary.
Yep. Still sold out, right?
I don't know.
I-
I
I'm
haven't
trying to
signed
check
in on
that.
this computer. This is like I gotta update a lot of the shit on this computer, but
Yeah, that's fine. But
I
yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
I checked last night; it was still sold out. But yeah,
But yeah, for shit like that, I sprang. I remember like when Xbox was doing their design lab.
Oh yeah.
I made myself like a custom like PS1 toned gray controller.
oh,
Nice.
great
Is that
controller.
a custom one?
But this is a custom one, all white.
Oh, nice.
All
Yeah,
white with the
cool.
colors though. But
Nice.
Yeah,
white
I like the
D-pad,
colors,
white
man. I
sticks,
miss-
right?
That's it. Yeah.
The colors are important to me. Like I like the green, red,
Yes.
blue, yellow,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
buttons. It's
Sick.
just like there's something, and it's something that I find kind of annoying about the PS5 stuff right now. Is just like it's all white, or it's all like monotone. And it's like, dude, bring us like they got such a good color palette for those buttons, like that deep pink, and then the light dark blue.
Very
kind of thing
pleasant
they got going on
colors,
for the
yeah.
buttons. It's a really good color scheme. It's weird, but
It's weird that they abandoned it, but I think maybe they're thinking about it because they're selling those shapes that you can buy for $35. You can just buy this. You can just buy the little sacred symbols for
You just buy
$35.
this- I love. Yeah, let me just buy some shapes.
Yeah. I mean, I might just buy that because it looks cute, right?
It is cute, yeah.
For $35 though, I don't know. That is a lot of money for just shapes.
Well, guys, that was a fun show and tell. I like these things. I like celebrating like these extravagant, these versions, because I don't know, man. We buy so many games, and not every game demands the worship that we might throw upon it for throwing in some extra cash for like a fancy watch or whatever. But like we each have something like that.
Oh yeah, I bought the Assassin's Creed 3 limited edition, and that came with like a Connor
What was that?
statue or some shit too.
Oh, it was a Connor statue?
I think I fucking forget. Who
Do
cares?
you guys ever see like I follow Warrior64 on Twitter, and like he'll post like deals, and the amount of times I've seen the Battle for Bikini Bottom rehydrated collector's edition going for like $20, and it's like a full fucking statue, and comes with like one of Patrick's dirty socks. Like it comes with everything. And it's like $20-$30. I've considered buying it so many times. I don't really have a place to put it, but I've considered buying it so many times. So I'm like, for you to sell it for this cheap, like this collector's edition, this cheap, like something's got to be wrong here. $30 for a statue, like a full on high quality looking statue. I don't know, but yeah, like I remember the BioWare store had like a pricing error, and they had like a Mordant statue for like $10. I got that. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like that was another cool one. Yeah, I think we all have those things. Like I realize like I'm just surrounded by, like in front of me are just like statues from, like I have the Dragon Ball Fighters collector's edition statue in front of me. That one's so sick.
Street
what's
Fighter
that
6, I got that too. The
nice.
Street Fighter 6 collector's edition. So that has Luke and Kimberly action figures. Those are clean. They look
Nice.
so clean.
What's the Dragon Ball Fighters collection? Like I don't even
It came with a steelbook here. Let me reach, and I hope I can reach this. Hold on, here we go.
statue. Oh, that's sick.
Right here. It's so cool.
That is dope looking. Ah, goddamn. I love statues, man. They're just
statues are sick.
Yeah,
that
they're
extra
cool.
bit of detail.
I'm out of space. My apartment's too small. It's I'm done. I can't accept any more collector editions. I'm not gonna buy any more until I actually have a house.
I have the.
Yeah.
I have
so I
the-
can get a housewife. You know? Bitch.
Yo, you. Wow. Jeez, well,
Oh
boy.
my god.
Love it.
All right, guys. Well, this was a fun, winding episode of Constellation. Thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
Guess we'll go around the horn and sign off. Matty, thanks for coming.
Of
Thanks for
course.
joining.
One last collector's edition. I'm bummed I didn't get my hands on. I think Limited Run was doing it, but like I have the same issue Gene does. Like I'm running out of space, and I got to find a place to put all this stuff. But they did Dead Space a remake, and I was like, "Fuck, man! Like it's my favorite."
Oh,
fucking-
what was the collector's one for that?
was it this? I think it was a statue of like Isaac stomping or something like that, or I think it might have been the helmet.
Oh, that's cool.
Something along those lines. But yeah, just incredible game. Of course, I love that game so much. But yeah, great to be here. This is probably my favorite Constellation episode I've been a part of. So thank you guys for that.
This
Ton
might
of
be a
fun.
goal.
Ton
Yeah,
of fun,
this might
man.
be a goal.
So
This-
we hope
I mean,
I
this
hope
is
the
an
audience
all-timer,
enjoyed
yeah.
as much as I did. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Hell yeah, dude. Appreciate it. Cog, good day to
Yo.
you.
Yeah, man. Good to see everybody. This is fun. I have to agree with Matty. Like we've had a lot of I've been on a lot of good ones, but this is up there. This is up there. So, Chris, you might have to take control of the situation.
Dagan's coming back. You need to block him.
Look, Dagan, love you. I love you, Dagan. I'm saying Chris is on to something, man.
It's a good group. I think we got a good group here. It's an unusual, uncommon permutation.
Yes, that's what I think it is.
That's right.
Because everyone's eager. I think we don't get a lot of time to talk to each other in a group setting in this specific permutation. So there's a lot to say, a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
And without Colin steering the conversation, so just like us, that's. I'm not saying like Colin will fuck things up, but
he likes order. He likes a little.
But he might though,
I like to keep things wind. I like to just see where things go, and if it goes off topic, like whatever. It's kind of the point, I think, in some ways, of a conversational podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
But Gene, always good to see you.
Yeah, this was a good time. I agree with everyone. I think this was all timer. It was as fun to chat, and I hope as it is to fun to listen to.
I hope so too.
And thanks for listening, everyone.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for us today. Go over to patreon.com/laststandmedia, or I will kill you. So, bye.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman, and is edited by associate producer, Ben Smith. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.